You know, Michelle Yeoh's been staring at me for months.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And yeah. I think. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Really? Really, phone? Come on, meow. Oh, the struggles I face. Hi, Mike C., the scout. How's it going? Okay. Just getting everything set up here. Just bear with me. Get in there. Get in there. Alright, that takes care of that. That takes care of that. Alright. There we go. Yes. Hello, Ben. Hello, Alaskan dude. Crazy times. I don't view... Let me see if I can give myself a little more chat room there. There we go. Oh, you're going out?
For a few minutes.
Well, all right then. Do what you got to do. Get what you got to get. You know. I said, you know the score. Get what we need.
Okay.
Hello, 7 Crazy Times. I don't view things political. I view it spiritual, and we're closer to Jesus. Okay. Hi, Blaze the Cat Man. Also, I agree. Physical. Yes. Take your time. Yes. Games especially for me. Yes. What it do, 7th? It does, Fat Joe. It does. How y'all like my new hat? This is from a company that I'm not familiar with called Overlord. Only thing is, I can't quite get it straight on my head. There we go. It's from a company called Overlord. Yes, 8th cameo. And my illegitimate son, Stranded J, sent me this. He didn't tell me he was going to send it or nothing. He just sent it. So now I have me a nice, spiffy, unofficial Captain Caveman hat. Has Overlord written right across here. Very, very comfortable hat. Very spiffy looking. Also kind of retro looking. Not necessarily my color, but I imagine that's because it matches Captain Caveman. So I'm cool with it because I'm cool with Captain Caveman. And you should be too. In fact, I always keep this nearby. I always love to show it off. This is the Captain Caveman Funko that Stranded J bought me forever ago, and I always keep nearby. Because I don't really collect Funko stuff. I've got a couple. Like I've got the Tasmanian Devil because my dad's favorite cartoon character was the Tasmanian Devil. So I have that one. And 8th still has a bunch upstairs. He has Ghost Rider and all sorts of stuff. And then I have this itty bitty little thing, which is a little Tron Funko thing. And that's the only other Funko thing I got because I'm a sucker for any kind of Tron merch. If I see anything that's Tron, I buy it. Unless it's something like a rare collectible that's super expensive or whatever. And then, of course, I don't buy that. So we're just going to give it about 5 more minutes, waiting for other folks to get in here. Yes, I know I still didn't post my new video on Tuesday. lots of stuff that's going on at my job, and I've had last weekend was my on-call weekend, so I couldn't stream because I have to be there fully available at the drop of a hat. I can't go anywhere, can't go to movies, can't do nothing because that phone might ring. So I just stick around all weekend and I stay offline. Now, this week, had additional classes that were assigned to me to have to take, and I was having to help out with this additional project that had 140 changes that had to be done by hand, and it just kept me working over hours. But, I've got some positive news. I will find out how big my raise is, my annual merit increase, this coming Friday, and I will get my bonus on March 11th. But I still don't know how much it's going to be. Normally, we would have found out yesterday, but for whatever reason, it didn't come out. We had our quarterly IT staff meeting, and they wanted everyone to be rest assured that we were exploring the possibilities of a couple of AI tools here and there to assist in improving the speed of some of the things that we do, but that there wasn't a single position that was going to be replaced by AI at this company. That their view of AI is that it was a tool to assist the current workforce, not to replace the workforce, which I was very glad to hear that. And one of the reasons they gave was we're already at max budget for IT as it is, which is why we haven't been hiring additional staff. In essence, we're too cheap for AI, is what was the gist of it. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what they said. They're too cheap to replace everybody with AI. So never mind the fact that our IT footprint is very small compared to the size of the company. But yeah. So, at least for the time being, until AI gets to the point where it replaces everybody's job and this becomes a socialist hellhole and we're all living off of universal basic income, I'm good. I'm set. No problem. Anyway, I got Wedge's Gamble, second book of the X-Wing series, for $4.50 at Half Price Books, and I just discovered it has the author's autograph. I was too excited to get the book to notice. I've had that happen a couple of times. One time I bought a used Dean Koontz book that was autographed by Dean Koontz, and one time, this would especially interest Rob, if he knew. One time I walked into a used bookstore, I think it was McKay's up in Tennessee, and I found several of these big annuals that Roger Ebert used to do, where it would include all the movies he's ever reviewed, all of his reviews, including the new ones for that year. And all of them were autographed by Roger Ebert with a little picture that he had drawn of himself and Siskel. So they had these two little cartoon characters and then Ebert's signature, all of them signed. I ended up giving them away to Goodwill when I moved to Texas because I didn't want to have to. I had so many books, I didn't want to have to pack them all up. So I basically gave my entire library to Goodwill. So, hi, Ace of Horns. And hi, Smithy. Yes, AI should be a tool, not taking jobs. That's what phones meant in AI, but we turn things too far for what God intended us for. Yeah, and you'll notice all these companies that are like mass laying people off, they're all big IT companies. I don't work in the IT. I work IT, but I'm not in the IT industry. I'm in a totally different line of work. And so it's a line of work that pretty much always had business. Even during the pandemic, we had business. So I'm not going to say we're recession proof, but we're highly recession resistant. Let's just put it that way. And we had a big year. We had a big year last year. We had over 11 billion in profit, which for our size was very, very good. Yes. All right. Well, it's that time. It is that time. It is Saturday, 6 p.m., February 28th, 2026, and this is the 7th Cast. Greetings and salutations. As always, I am your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th, you just saw walk out the front door to go get stuff. What stuff he's going to get? I don't know, but he's going to get it. So, I thought this would be a good time to talk about physical media because of recent events. As you have seen, or I'm assuming you've heard about, Sony have shuttered Blue Point Studios. Meanwhile, they've also announced that not announced, but it's been leaked that they're stepping away from PC ports. So, they have one company that they bought specifically to port games to PC. That company is called Nixxes. So that's probably the next one we're going to see them head down washout lane. So I have some issues with this. They know that whether some of us like it or not, one of the big, hot revenue generators going in the gaming space right now are remasters and remakes. They make money hand over fist because people don't like the new games they're making. You have that one set, that fraghead subset that likes to play Call of Duty and extraction shooters galore and that kind of thing, who will get excited for something like Marathon. But then you have the rest of us that we love Sony for epic first and variety in first party single player exclusive titles. That's what a lot of us got into Sony for. And because they don't have good ones coming out as much as they did last gen, because they all decided that that they wanted to have their own Fortnite. Yeah, that worked out really well for you. We are instead nostalgic for old stuff. That's one of the reasons why during the pandemic, retro gaming exploded. Because it was cheaper and easier and more abundant to go get an old console and get the old games that you used to play or never got a chance to play than buy the new BS that the industry has been putting out. And so, they made money off of the Demon Souls remake. The Final Fantasy remakes have been selling well. The Dragon Quest remakes have been selling well. Retro is very popular. And what do? They closed down their studio that they bought 5 years ago that was there specifically for the purpose of remaking popular games, which could also relaunch those as a franchise. Sony used to be replete with AA quality titles. So the point during the PS3 generation, it seemed like every month there was something new coming out because they had more variety. Yes, they had the big budget Uncharted's and Resistances and Infamouses and whatnot, but then they had AA stuff that went along with it, like the Ratchet and Clanks of the world. They don't have any of that now. They don't have Ape Escape. They don't have Ratchet and Clank because I doubt they'll ever let Insomniac make another one. They don't have Jack and Daxter. They don't have Sly Cooper. They don't have all these great franchise. They don't have Beyond the Beyond. Well, that was a co-production with Sunsoft. They don't have Legend of Dragoon. They don't have all these fantastic, absolutely fantastic IP anymore. That Blue Point could have resurrected and sparked interest in again, so that Sony could be making money. So what did they do? They shit can that studio. But they keep Marathon, the one that's been all over the news with mismanagement and wasting money and cruelty to their employees and all these other things that they paid $3.2 billion for, way more than they paid for Blue Point, and would have saved them way more money to get rid of, as opposed to Blue Point, who has released nothing of worth mentioning for Sony, because they wanted to keep their autonomy and not have to be exclusive to Sony. And so even then, all they released were expansions for Destiny, and now we got Marathon coming, which PlayStation would have gotten whether Marathon was bought by them or not. And Marathon, or Bungie was bought by them or not. And Bungie was supposed to also be there to help them build out these live service games. The ones that have all been canceled. Oh, but they don't get rid of Bungie. They don't sell off Bungie or close it. No, they get rid of the little team that could down in Austin. Barely saved them anything. Minuscule tax write-off in the greater scheme of things. If I didn't want to get demonetized, Sony, I'd tell you what you could, where you could go and what you could kiss when you get there. Absolutely asinine. Ryan is already gone. He's been replaced. Herman Hulst should be straight up fired. Fired. Sony was in a good position with Layden. Ryan comes in, starts screwing everything up, and then Herman Hulst comes in and makes it worse. He should be fired. Gone. Anyway, yeah, I heard no more Bloodborne, because the creator of it doesn't want to entrust it to anyone, even Blue Point. I guess he looked at the Demon Souls remake and didn't care for it. So he was like, those guys do Bloodborne? No. It's too bad. If Sony were smart, they would sell Bungie off and take whatever they get from selling Bungie off and buy a bigger stake in FromSoft. Because right now they've only got just like a small stake? Yeah. But anyway, from Christmas on, there hasn't been a whole lot in the way of gaming anyway, except for Resident Evil, which 8th bought with his money, and Dragon Quest VII, which I bought. So I've been mostly buying movies and rebuilding my physical media library, because for several years I've just been buying digital on Amazon because of how easy it was. And often how cheaper it was, because they have such frequent sales where you can buy movies for like $5 to $10. But me and 8th have decided to get back into physical media. That's one of the reasons why that shelf is looking behind me as so much fuller than it was. That, and 8th decided to make more room by bringing a bunch of the games down here. So I thought, I would show you what I've purchased since post-Christmas. It's a pretty big stack, and I got away with that I'm not buying new movies. I'm buying old movies. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Are you going to try Sorrows? 8th will try Sorrows. I will not be trying Sorrows. Let's see. What are you talking about, Samurai Warrior? My mistake. I not perfect. What are you talking about? Opinionated Junkie donated $1 through Super Chat. Thank you, Opinionated Junkie, you are the first donator of the night. Here's your $1 bill. Okay, so I'm looking at the planet alignment now, and I see only 2 planets. I don't believe in that whole alignment crap. I just think it's something neat to look at in the sky. Let's see here. I hope you drop a verbal beatdown on plate. Well, I just did that. How are they going to close Blue Point but keep Media Molecule open? It's my understanding Media Molecule is working on something. Don't know what it is, but who knows? Let's see here. AI should be a tool. Nobody can jump. Right. Already read that. Anytime my mistake not perfect. I still don't know what you mean by my mistake not perfect. I didn't think I said anything to you that would warrant you feeling the need to say that. Whatever. Sony not focusing on single player games that made me a fan to begin with. Exactly. I mean, PS5 has had some good single player games, first party. Just not as many as the PS4 or the PS3 had. Not even close. You know, Sony bragging about how they've made more money off the PS5 than any previous generation. It's because they get a 30% cut of all these live service games that people are playing. So that's why they've had such a focus on live service, because they want a live service game where they get 100% of the cut. It isn't about making their consumers happy. It's about making their investors happy. 7th, I don't see why Lost Soul Aside gets the hate. It's underrated. It gets the hate because it earned it, because that game is ass. Unfortunately, my interest in PlayStation exclusives is dropping. I don't blame you. Hey, 7th, who wins in a fight? Murray from Sly Cooper or Crash Bandicoot? I think Crash would win out. 7th, Sony should buy Arc System Works and Ember Lab. That way they could have exclusive fighting games, I guess. Did your Blu-rays that you ordered last stream arrive? Yes, they did. SSD prices are sky high. Hope a crash happens soon. Did you and 8th play Resident Evil 9? 8th has played it. I have not. He's already beat it, and he's doing his speed runs towards the plat. I have not played it because I told you 1,000 times I'm not all that into survival horror stuff. I think Wolverine will be underwhelming after Spider-Man 2 rushed. It might be okay, might not. Well, we'll see. All I can say is I was a big fan of X-Men Origins Wolverine, and some of the combat that they've shown may not feel, but looks very similar. Sorry for last time. I won't keep you up all night. Oh, you didn't, because I did what you said, and I just didn't stay. I stayed for 1 hour. I stayed for 4 hours. I didn't stay for the full 6. Or the full 5, I should say. So it's okay. It's okay. I think Sony's, and I think I'm just going to hold off on the whole extending the podcast by donations for a while. It's not that I don't appreciate y'all's donations and don't love it, and love you guys for it. It's just my health currently is not all that conducive towards sitting here for 6 hours straight. It puts a lot of strain on me, and until I lose some of this weight, it's going to be that way. And I don't go back to the doctor until next month. And even then, it's going to take a while being on that medication before I drop some of this weight. Anyway, let's see. So, don't apologize for what you did last 2 weeks ago, Black Cadillac. I was very appreciative of that. Very appreciative indeed. I think Sony's mess is due to the fanboys. The damage they did is worse than Nintendo fanboys of the Wii U and the Xbox fanboys of the Xbox One. I don't think it's really fanboys, because fanboys aren't the ones that convinced them to get into live service games. Because the fanboys all wanted, the next Last of Us, the next Uncharted, the next this, the next that. I want a Mega Man Legends remake. can't say anything wrong with that one comment. Are you a steelbook collector? Or are you fine with? I don't really care. I don't really care. Steelbook, plastic, don't make no never mind to me. Do what you need for your health. Yeah, health is most important. Appreciate it. I love streaming for you guys, you know, and I always appreciate it when y'all show a little love to the old wallet there. I always appreciate that. I just, until my health gets better, I can't do this 6-hour crap no more. Opinionated Junkie donated $2 for the super chat. I find playing Mega Man 1 through 8 with a keyboard better. Really? Okay. I've never now. I have a confession to make. I've never actually played Mega Man 7. I beat 1 through 6 and I beat 8. Never played 7. And I've never been a big fan of the X series. You know, that's more of a Black Bond thing. Anyway, thank you for the $2. Here's your another dollar bill. As I've stated twice now, Outsider, 8th bought Resident Evil, and he's already beat it and is working on the plat. I haven't played it because for the millionth time, I don't play Souls-likes and I don't play survival horror games because I just don't like them. They're too slow and plodding for me, which is odd considering I love turn-based RPGs. But anyway, let's talk about what I've picked up since December, physical media-wise. First off, one of my all-time favorites, The Hunt for Red October. I do not understand why they would take The Hunt for Red October and give the poster a blue sheen instead of a red sheen. You think that would make sense, but no, it's blue. Why is it blue? The submarine is not called the Blue October. Did they think this was an Elvis movie? I'll have a hunt for the blue, 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 blue Christmas without you. No, it's Red October. Sean Connery. This cover should be red. Anyway, great movie. Next up, The Prestige. This is my favorite Christopher Nolan film aside from The Dark Knight. I love The Prestige. Even though I know every twist, every secret, have seen it a million times, I love this movie and I can watch it over and over again. Never gets old for me. I also like that movie that came out around the same time that had Edward Norton in it. I think it was called The Illusionist. I like that one too. This one's way better. I collect physical media like Blu-rays and DVDs. I put them on my ProMox server and run it through a jellyfin. Okay. You said you didn't think Sony will allow another Ratchet and Clank. What makes you say that? Because it didn't make a whole lot of money. Didn't sell that many copies. Wasn't a big, massive seller compared to Spider-Man 2. Crimson Desert Day 1 purchase. Don't know yet. I'm going to wait for the reviews because I've never played any of that studio's previous games. Anyway, Coneheads 4K. I don't give a crap what any of you say. Next to Wayne's World, this is my favorite Saturday Night Live movie. I love this movie. I don't know why people have such a problem with it. I think it's hilarious, especially nowadays with all the, immigration issues going on. Absolutely hilarious. I haven't even gotten into what special features it might have or anything yet. Waterworld. Yes, I love Waterworld. Both 8th and I love Waterworld. How could you not? It's Mad Max on the water. That's what it is. It's like SeaWorld took Mad Max and did a ski show about it. I like it. It's fun. But then again, I love The Postman. So, it seems like a bunch of people hate The Postman. I love it. Well, hey there, gamers. Here's something that'll really piss you off. Guess what? If you think about it, Death Stranding ripped off a big chunk of its plot from The Postman. I'm just saying. A delivery man making his way across the remains of a shattered America, pulling people together, building lines of communication, reforming the United States. It's The Postman. Anyway, Weird Science, Kelly LeBrock, baby. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Kelly LeBrock. I'm not like a super fan of this movie. I mean, I loved it as a teenager. The main reason I bought it was because Rob said that he really didn't like, this was one of the movies from that era that he just doesn't think is funny at all. So I bought it just so I could do this. Hey, Rob, look, that movie you said you didn't like on 4K. I got it on 4K. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? What do you think of that? I know he don't care, but I do it anyway. Death Stranding is such a weird game. I built a highway system in this damn game, and people on my server gave me 1 million likes throughout the process of building every road, raising my dopamine. Mad Max was trying to find the water. What was the name again? Another classic. I walked in and thought you were talking about Death Stranding. Well, I did talk about it very briefly. I'm not offended. I'm 100% with Black Bond on Death Stranding and Kojima in general. Okay? Next, I'm going to do these in order. Hellboy, Ron Perlman. Love this movie. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. Hellboy 2, also one of my favorite comic book movies. What happened to Rob? He's still around. I'm not talking about Silent Rob. I'm talking about the Order 42, Billy's friend Rob. He's become like my movie friend. Billy used to be my movie friend, and now Rob is my movie friend. And of course, Rob was my movie friend before Billy passed away, and I had 2 movie friends. Now I just have 1 movie friend, and he's become more of my movie friend. And then, of course, this is the one with Hopper from Stranger Things. People seem to hate this movie, maybe because it has Mila Jovovich in it. I know it was butchered in the edit and whatnot. I still think it's freaking fun. Did it need to be? I don't know why they felt they couldn't just let Del Toro and Ron Perlman do a 3rd one and complete their trilogy. But I like it. It's fun. I think it's better than people give it credit for. Anyway, moving along. The Predator box set, which only has 2 movies in it because they only made 2 good movies and didn't make any other movies until Predator Badlands, which is also a good movie, but is not included in this only 2 movie, because they only made 2, box set. I don't like this case. I don't like when box sets come like this. I like box sets that basically is a box with a bunch of these in it. I don't like this stuff because movies fall out of them. A movie just fell out and hit the floor. And because I'm sitting here in the dark, I can't even see it to pick it up. So the movie is going to have to sit there all that time until the show. Look at this. Here's another one that just tried to fall out of the case. This is why I don't like these. Because they're ass. They suck. So now that movie is just going to have to sit on the floor, and I got to hope that I don't forget and step on it. Because this chair is very... Well, anyway, I'm not moving. So that disc is just going to have to sit there and be happy. But that's why I don't like these. Because the discs fall out. Anyway, next. Speaking of Silent Rob, what happened to him? Nothing. He's just, uh, a dumbass, and he's a drug addict, and he's completely erratic because of the fact that he's a drug addict, and he's burned all of his bridges and pretty much destroyed his YouTube career. Never mind the fact that he had some kind of weird, non-gay crush uh, on Alpha Omega Sin back in the day, and when Alpha kind of spurned him because he thought it was weird and stalkerish for him to be acting the way that he did, he went on this long tirade of attempted revenge on Alpha Omega Sin, and the whole thing was just stupid, and Alpha wasn't even aware of the fact that it was going on because he never really paid attention to Rob in the first place. Anyway, True Romance. Written by, but not directed by, anyone? Tarantino. Very underrated movie, although there is one particular scene with Dennis Hopper that might be triggering for some people out there. I'm not going to go into details. If you've seen it, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. Another Nick Rakita situation. Yeah, basically. Did you like the movie Prey? It was all right. It's not as good as Predator Badlands. Predator Badlands I really enjoyed. Anyway, Forrest Gump. This movie has not aged well for a variety of reasons. But I have a soft spot for it because it's one of the, not the last time, but one of the last times that me and my mom went to see anything at the movie theater together. So I have a soft spot in my heart for it. $8, baby, Over the Top. Rocky with arm wrestling. I love this movie. I think it's so over the top ridiculous. It's one of my favorite Stallone movies, Over the Top. Are you playing... Dude, listen you not? Have I not said in the last 28 minutes 3 or 4 times now that I don't play survival horror games? And that 8th bought it, I did not? Come on, man. Don't make me repeat myself. They filmed the Vietnam and boat scenes at Fripp Island, South Carolina, which I've been to. Okay. Thanks for reminding me of Waterworld. Yeah, Waterworld's fun. Also $8. Salem's Lot. Now, there is a 4K edition of this, and Rob has the 4K. That was like $45 or something like that. This was $8. This was a movie that was made for TV. I don't see how much 4K could be improved, it being a made-for-TV film from the 70s that's not widescreen. But this is my earliest memory of ever seeing a horror film is this movie right here. When it came out, I was about 4, going on 5, and I was at my aunt and uncle's house, and my aunt was watching it on TV. And I just happened to turn and look at the TV right when that little dead kid rose up out of his coffin and bit that dude. And that was my first taste of horror right here. And that's why I owned it. But I didn't see the point in paying $45 to have the 4K because I just really don't think 4K would do that much for this movie. And I thought the same thing about this one. Here's my signature 7. And did you ever enjoy Indian cuisine from Dark Star? Yes, I've had Indian cuisine once. I haven't had it again because I don't like to blow out the back of my pants. Anyway, Harry and the Hendersons. There's this weird thing that's been going on lately where I will buy a Blu-ray movie and I will message And I'll buy it on Blu-ray, either thinking I don't think 4K could do this any good, or this movie is practically forgotten, so no, who's going to buy it on 4K? So I'll buy the $8 Blu-ray, and I'll send a picture of it to Rob. Look what I got for $8. And he will invariably say, hey, they announced the 4K for that this week. It's happened every time. And it happened with this one. Apparently, the 4K for this is coming out this year. Well, I don't care, because I watched this on Blu-ray. It looks and sounds perfectly fine. Now this one, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most of you won't know anything about this one. This is the Spanish one. I had to import it because you can't get it cheaply in the States anymore. And even then, it came in a 2-pack with another movie. This is it's like an early 80s Charles Band film before he founded Full Moon Studios. It was called, in the United States, The Dungeon Master. And even though they make it look like the villain is Blackie Lawless from Wasp, it's actually Richard Mall from Night Court. And it's basically another sorcery versus technology type movie. Similar in storyline a little bit to something like The Flight of Dragons. But yeah, you got a computer guy who gets sucked into this alternate world by an evil wizard dude, and he has to complete several tasks, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's 80s cheese, but it has like some really fun Harryhausen style stop motion and some other fun stuff to it. And so I really wanted it. Here's one word of caution. When you buy these imports, you have to pay close attention to the format. Not because of region lock, because the PS5 is region free. So you can buy a Blu-ray or a 4K from anywhere in the world and it'll play on your PS5. No, what the problem is that for these really old, obscure movies like this, and Warner Brothers does it too sometimes with their Warner Brothers archive. Oh, let me give Dark Star his dollar bill real quick. There you go. Oh, $5 from Black Cadillac. Thanks for the cool movies I've forgotten about. You're welcome, Black Cadillac. Thanks for the $5, sir. Here's you another dollar bill. Just like Warner Brothers Classics or whatnot does with some of theirs, it is Blu-ray, but it's a BDR. It's a burned disc. See that right there? It's not a pressed disc. It's a burned disc with a high quality gloss label on the front. Looks just as good as a pressed disc when you watch it, but you have to be real careful because these get damaged way easier than a pressed disc. But this is something that Spain does. If it's a movie that's like super old and didn't have a major following, it's more of a cult classic, you can buy it brand new and have it imported. It's going to be a BDR. So just be aware of that. And you'll always know, because in the corner there, you'll see underneath the Blu-ray logo, BD-R. Right there. BD-R. Look for that. Because it'll be on the little picture of it when you look at what they're selling. They won't say in the notes at all that it's a BDR. They won't say that at all. They'll just tell you it's a brand new copy. Pay close attention. I've actually had that happen to me twice. I bought the import of the Canadian animated film Rock and Rule. Same thing, BDR. Brand new copy, BDR. So just be aware of that. Black Cadillac has become a loyal 7thite. Thank you, Black Cadillac. I appreciate that. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Harry and the Hendersons was called Bigfoot and the Hendersons in some countries, and occasionally Bigfoot in Harry and the Hendersons. I saw it in 1987, if I recall correctly, the year. It's either 86 or 87. And I saw it, again, with my mom as a double feature with Ernest Goes to Camp at the Eastgate Mall Cinema in Brainerd, Tennessee, outside of Chattanooga. That theater no longer exists. The mall does, but it's now called the Eastgate Town Center, and it just has a bunch of office companies and stuff in it with a food court. All the stores are gone. Men in Black. Now, it says 4-movie collection in it, but this is a lie because there was only ever 2 Men in Black movies made that for some reason were called Men in Black and Men in Black 3, even though there was never a 2 made and there was never a 4 made. Just 1 and 3. Weird. But anyway, must be some kind of a misprint. I also don't know why Chris Hemsworth and Valkyrie are on the cover because they were never in a Men in Black movie. But anyway, 4K 2-movie box set. What's happening 7th? Oh, I'm just going through some recent things. Oh, I am very excited about this one. I totally geeked out when I found this. I had a total geek boner the minute I saw it, and I knew I had to have it. And I actually sent a picture of this to Rob, and he was like, I actually considered getting that, and I think Billy might have had it, but I'm not sure. Those of my age who watched cartoon reruns on Saturday mornings, not just the new shows, but the reruns, you're going to love this. Star Trek, the animated series from Filmation. All 22 episodes, because it only lasted 1 season. But here's the thing. They hired a bunch of the original writers of the live-action show. So even though this was a Saturday morning cartoon, no kid of that age in their right mind would have sat through this because it's all like very high-concept sci-fi. The stories are just as complex as the original series, but crammed into a 30-minute episode, so it goes by a lot faster. But it comes with the entire 22-episode run, along with some special features, documentaries about its creation, etc., etc. This gives you a little idea of what, well, too much bright light reflecting off of it, but gives you kind of an idea of what it looked like if you've never seen it before. But comes with that, and then it comes with a little box that has these collectible little cards that has to do with the episodes. So here's like the name of the episode, and it tells you who wrote it, and it has a little picture of the artwork from it. And here's another one. Yesteryear. This is everyone's favorite episode because it's about Spock's childhood, and he loses his well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it has to do with Spock's childhood. And if I remember right, it was one of the ones that was written by famous Star Trek, the original series screenwriter DC Fontana. She was fantastic. But anyway, it comes with those. I'm not sure what the impetus behind that was. All I know is I think they're cool and I like them. So it comes with all those. And even though it's not technically like some big box set because it all fits in here, it's like a 4-disc set. I was just over the moon for this. When I saw it on there, I knew I had to have it. This is now one of my most prized Blu-ray possessions right here because I loved this cartoon when I was a kid. You know, contrary to what I just said about, kids that age weren't going to sit through this, I did because I used to sit and watch Star Trek reruns with my dad. And so this was like Star Trek that was all for me. And it came on late in the day on, I think, NBC on Saturday mornings, like around, I don't know, 1978. It came out the year before I was born, 1973, but they were still showing reruns of it when I was a little kid, and I used to watch it. And then they brought it back on, I want to say, Nickelodeon back in the 80s. They showed it on Nickelodeon in the afternoons. Love it. Absolutely love it. Finally, and again, I can't stand these kind of boxes, but it's the way they did it. I got the original 6 Star Trek films on 4K, which includes the expanded director's cuts of the first film and the second film, Wrath of Khan. So I was very happy with this one. I love the director's cut of the motion picture. I know some people are too traditionalist about it because they actually used CG to create shots of what V'ger looked like outside the cloud and stuff. I don't care. It looks great. And they fixed a bunch of the issues with the original cut and whatnot. And so, now I actually enjoy the motion picture when otherwise I never did care for it that much. But now I really like it because the director's cut's great. And the director's cut of Wrath of Khan throws some really cool stuff in there too. So this was definitely worth having. I do not have the Next Generation movie box set because, it isn't a box set because there was only one good movie made. Hence, there was only one movie made, which was First Contact. Anyway, that's all. That's everything that I've purchased recently since Christmas. I just will occasionally hop on there, look and see if there's anything on sale or cheap, and if I see something I want, I snatch it up. Picked up some stuff for 8th too. Like, for example, once 8th had his own 4K TV, and I had hooked him up with his own profiles and all the streaming services and whatnot, he started building fandoms for things that I wasn't aware he had fandoms of. Case in point, I did not know this until recently, but 8th is a huge fan of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I had no clue, because that was a thing from my generation, staying up late to watch Elvira in some cheesy horror movie. But apparently, he is a big fan of Elvira, so I got him Elvira, Mistress of the Dark on 4K and Elvira's Haunted Hills on Blu-ray because that was not available on 4K. So, there are some things that I also bought for 8th, but those are all upstairs with him. Anyway, that's everything for right now, so we'll just open up the floor to chat. Hi, Checkmate Stallion, how's it going? But 7th, what did I see in 1997 if it wasn't? I don't know. You must have been high. Evening 7th, I was going to message you on X, but I'm not verified. Just want to let you know you've been in my prayers with the health issues. Thank you, Catholic Cowboy. Appreciate you. I had to do that in regards to DMs because I was getting spammed a lot. So I'm sorry about that. I'm playing the Tomba 2 remake or remaster. I never got to play the original back in the day. It's really fun. Reminds me of old Zelda, but with a pink-haired caveman. Tomba doesn't remind me of Zelda at all because it's a side-scrolling platformer. It's not like, a Zelda-style adventure game. So, but I mean, to each their own. If you love it, you love it, regardless of why. I'm going to check out Star Trek the Animated Series on Paramount Plus before they get rid of it for no reason. There you go. No, I don't. Con! Did you like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies? I liked the first two okay. I liked the first two. I didn't like Star Trek Beyond very much. Star Trek Beyond, to me, was that series' Star Trek Insurrection. If you've ever seen that Next Generation movie that sucked a lot of... Yeah, that's what Star Trek Beyond is for me. It's been years, but I've been a fan of you for over a decade. Legend, you got me into Hysteria by Def Leppard. Xbox One-ish, son. Your take on Rise made me laugh so much. Never played, but sound crap. Are you... Well, I'm glad you're still around. I'm glad I'm still around. Hello, spawn of mine.
Hello.
Did you bring me a prize?
I did.
Okay. I'll look at it later.
You sure you don't want it? It's a DOS Pecky.
Oh, it's a Dos Pecky.
It's a DOS Pecky.
8th calls Pepsi's Dos Pecky. He doesn't know why. I surmise that it's because it sounds like Dos Equis, the beer brand. And so he just calls this Dos Pecky because it sounds like Dos Equis. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Thank you, fruit of my loins. I love my son. We have a very special relationship. It's platonic, I swear. He's a good kid. I'm really excited for him. He is doing great. Now, before y'all get mad at me, this is zero sugar, okay? This is zero sugar Pepsi. I only drink one soda a day. Oh, no! No! No, you son of a bitch, no! You know why it's happened? It's because this is stupid movie cinema's Black Panther cup. That's what did it. It's all Black Panther's fault. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's because this has ice in it and it fizzed up way too fast. That's why it happened. Anyway, now my top of my desk is all wet. I hope none of that fell on the Blu-ray that's on the floor. Anyway. The one that fell on the floor is probably The Predator, so I don't care. Anyway, because it don't exist. Anyway, let's see here. 8th is doing really well at school. He did have a work-study job there that was basically helping out with like promotions at other schools and stuff. But his engineering professor likes him so much, she encouraged him to transfer to work directly under her, and she wanted him to be a member of this club that competes in like robotics competitions and stuff, and she paid his entry fee for him to be in that. And so she really thinks the world of him, and he's just doing really well in her class. I think that's going to be one of those situations where he ends up with a teacher that's a lifelong friend kind of thing. Anyway, y'all are going really fast here, so Anyway, Lewis, let me get to your question. Sorry about that. Are you excited for Pragmata? I played the demo. I like the puzzles. It reminded me of Prey. It felt more challenging than I thought it was going to be. I hope it's great. What do you think? I haven't played the demo. 8th has played it. Our initial impression of it when we saw the first trailer was that Capcom was trying to make their own version of a Hideo Kojima game. But now that 8th's played it, he says he doesn't really feel that way anymore. But I haven't played the demo. We're definitely going to get it, but whether I end up playing it or not, I don't know. Sir, your thoughts on Kingdom Deliverance 2? I have not played it. I like some level of fantasy in my RPGs, and it's just straight medieval Poland, and so I don't really, or whatever country. Thought it was Poland. I could be wrong, but it's just straight medieval. There's no fantasy to it, and so it doesn't really interest me from a plot perspective. Top 5 games to play on PS5. Oh, good lord. God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Astrobot. I don't really like Horizon, to be honest with you. It's not my thing. I'm going to say Hogwarts Legacy, because that's been one of my favorite games this generation, even though I'm not that big on the Harry Potter franchise. I just thought it was a really fun game, and it performed really well. And what the hell? The game I'm currently playing, Dragon Quest VII Remake, or Reimagined. Even though it pisses off a lot of people because they cut some stuff out and simplified some things, I'm just having a lot of fun with it. So, I don't care. I played the original when it was super long and obtuse. I don't mind playing one that's like, more condensed and simpler to get through and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that because I already did it the hard way. Anyway. I'm sure the Jar Jar Abrams movies had their mystery box. Well, sort of with not so much with the first one, but with the whole the second one, because it was so obvious that he was Khan, so it didn't really work. But Elvira is the hottest redhead I know. She's been blessed with great abundances. Yeah, but she gave them away to the Sisters of Sappho, man. Howdy, 7th. I actually watched Forrest Gump for the first time a couple of years ago and thought it was great. Why doesn't it hold up for you out of curiosity? Well, for one thing, I'm not as big of a fan of Tom Hanks now as I used to be. Secondly, some of the CGI hasn't held up as well. And thirdly, the plot, whereas I found it charming in the 90s, now just feels stupid. And after I saw the movie, I read the book and realized they took a very funny comedy satire novel and turned it into Oscar bait tearjerker. And so I lost respect for it because they didn't have the balls to make the actual book. If you've never read the book, go read the book. It's nothing like the movie. I'll give you an example. At one point, Forrest becomes an astronaut and gets sent up into space with a trained orangutan. The orangutan pisses all over the navigation computer and shorts it out, and so their spacecraft crash lands on a deserted island that's populated by cannibalistic pygmies. It just so happens that one of the chief of the pygmies was trained by another foreigner who landed on their island, who taught that pygmy how to play chess before they ate him. And so the pygmy teaches Forrest how to play chess. And so when they finally get back to the United States, Forrest becomes an international chess champion, not a ping pong champion. Eventually he fights in Desert Storm with that same orangutan. But I can't remember, I think that happens in the second book, not the first one. I can't remember now. If I remember right, the orangutan's name was Sue. So in one of the books, either the first one or the second one, Forrest is driving around in Iraq in a tank with Sue looking for Saddam Hussein. Like I said, the books are nothing like the movie. Nothing. You got to read the books. Anyway. Uh, Tom, shit. Tombatu upgraded to 3D Zelda OOT style. I don't think I ever played the second one. I only played the first one. Do you have Letterbox? No, I don't. Reminds me of my dad who passed away earlier this week. I'm sorry to hear that. Cyborg Dr. Phil donated $2 through Super Chat. Thank you, sir. Here's your dollar bill. Avengers Doomsday looks meh to me. You know why I don't think Avengers Doomsday is going to be all that great? Because they've done nothing to build up to it. Phase 4 and Phase 5 were wasted opportunity. They didn't build a cohesive storyline. They were working on building to Kang the Conqueror, and then dude had to go and beat the crap out of his woman, and so John Majors, and so Kang the Conqueror was out, and now Doom is in. But they've done nothing except one post-credit scene in Fantastic Four to set up anything. So I just question how good it's going to be, because it's not like with the other Avengers movies where everything was building up to it and building the anticipation to it. So you can't wait to see how it all comes together. None of that's happened. None of that's happened with this one. I think these things are just going to be made to finish out the original MCU, to replace it with a new one with new actors and crap. We'll end up moving over to some totally new universe that has totally different characters and a new continuity and everything. I think that's possibly where they're headed towards. No, I'm not a big fan of Death Stranding. I play Minecraft with the grandkids. I like that. 7th, I think Pepsi Zero tastes better than Diet Pepsi. Oh, absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. 8th ain't going to join us. He's going right back up there to do his thing. Again, Puppet Master, I'm sorry to hear your dad passed away. I know how that feels. I've been through it. Thank you very much for the blast from the past. No problem. Medieval Bohemia, which is the Czech Republic, so close enough. Silesia, part of Bohemia at the time, is part of Poland today. Okay, I was close. I am playing Spider-Man 2, and it's decent, not bad, as Jack Move Johnny says it is. I know 8th didn't like it as much as the first one. I still haven't played the second one because my backlog is massive. Again, I mostly go for RPGs. There's a second book. I didn't know that. Yeah, there's Forrest Gump, and then the second one is called Gump and Company, and it's about how him and his son that he had with Jenny, who turns out to be a genius, it's about their misadventures. And one of the things about it, Chris, it turns out that Forrest was the inventor of New Coke. Yeah. It's that kind of book. Thoughts about the Running Man remake? Oh! I don't know why that movie got crapped on as much as it did. The new Running Man is fun. It is good. It is nothing like the Schwarzenegger one, although they did borrow a couple little things here and there. It tries to be closer to Stephen King's book, like the whole thing of having to regularly mail proof that you're still alive and stuff. That's from the book. The climax taking place on an airplane, that's from the book. So it's still not book accurate, but it's a lot closer than the Schwarzenegger version. It's just as fun as the Schwarzenegger movie, but in a different way. It was very good. I recommend it. You should watch it. I had a blast, and I will be buying it on physical. I like it's like the Mando movie. None of the big channels are talking about it except for Doomcock claiming there's big reshoot. I don't know if there is or not. I'm not super excited about it. I mean, I think 8th wants to see it, so we'll probably go see it in the theater. But to me, it just looks like a TV movie that's going to get a theatrical release. So, are you into any world cinema, any masterpieces? Well, I think that depends on your definition of a masterpiece. Like I consider Goodfellas a masterpiece. Godfather 1 and 2. Once Upon a Time in America, The Right Stuff. Those are masterpieces to me. So it kind of depends. I mean, if you were asking if I'm into some kind of Federico Fellini BS, no, I'm not really. Not really, no. PlayStation is reportedly bringing back full exclusive. Now that's one difference I will say real quick. That's a difference between me and Rob. Is that Rob is a lot more into the higher brow stuff than I am. I mean, he still likes some of the cheese, but he's way he's a big fan of Wes Anderson films. I have yet to enjoy a single movie by that man. They're just very dull and boring to me. I don't find them funny. They just to me they're just boring and a little bit bereft of plot. Another $2 from Cyborg Dr. Phil. Have you seen the Shield TV show? Not in many years, but I do remember watching it. But anyway, Rob has he has an element of upper brow that he's into too, which Billy had that too. But me and Billy never talked about higher brow stuff. We always talked about the cheese. Rob doesn't. He's not as familiar with some of the cheese as me and Billy were, but he's still familiar enough about it that he and Rob and I have really fun conversations about films. Not like over the phone. We just text back and forth. But the last time I saw him at Retropalooza, we talked a lot about movies. But yeah, I'm not into Wes Anderson's stuff. Stuff that's considered art house films, for example, The English Patient. I hate The English Patient. It's one of my least favorite movies of all time. It's boring as hell. Can't stand it. Now, but again, a lot of the stuff me and Rob are in common with, I really, stuff like A Bridge Too Far. It's not like I do have a hard time getting engrossed in black and white films. One, because I know how far beyond my generation they are. And two, not all actors, but a lot of actors back then had a totally different style of acting because they started out on the stage. And so even though they're not in a play anymore and they're not having to project so that the guy on the back row can hear what they're saying, they still act in front of the camera as though they were on stage. A perfect example of that, Charlton Heston. Anyway, staring off into the distance like he's talking to the audience. I was blessed by the power of God and all this crap. Acting like he's trying to project to the cheap seats. There was a lot of actors back then that acted that way. And so a lot of times it's hard for me to get into these black and white movies. Oh, well, given the circumstances, this is what we were preparing for. I do appreciate it. Hey, AKL Max, how's it going? Best video Silent Rob ever did was Scalper Rant. I couldn't tell you. I didn't watch him. Because there was, for one thing, I'd already been made familiar with his situation from Alpha. And two, there was always just something that was just skeezy about him. Just skeezy. He just seemed like that guy down in the trailer park who sold things out of his trunk. That's who Silent Rob always seemed like to me. And so I never had anything for him. I'm a redneck, but I'm not that kind of redneck. I lived in like the lower middle class redneck burbs. With cousins that lived on a farm. I wasn't I wasn't down in the trailer park. That was me. And I don't know if he ever lived in a trailer park. I mean, some of his videos made it look like he lived in a trailer before he bought that little house that he was living in. Razor Fist had a Jack Murphy meltdown on side scrollers. Okay. I don't have anything against Razor Fist. I just I don't watch him that much. And plus, you know, for someone who talks such a big game, he sure does have thin skin. You know, I trolled him once about his Final Fantasy 13 review, and he blocked me. Yeah, he can dish it out, but it doesn't seem like he can take it all that well. Leslie Nielsen started out as theater, which is what I think helped the movie Airplane. Oh, I love Airplane. That's one I should look for. That's one I should look for. Another thing, as soon as I get my bonus check on March 11th, one of the first things I'm going to do is pre-order the 4K for Speed Racer. I have the movie on Blu-ray. I just think it would look great in 4K, especially when I replace my TV with one that has HDR. Because that TV is 9 years old. And not only is it starting to have power supply problems, but it doesn't have HDR at all. So I'm not getting that benefit and haven't been for 9 years. So that's another reason why, if my bonus is big enough, I want to replace the TV. Do you have any thoughts on Razor Fist's rant on Michael Jackson being in? Yeah, I think he's right. I think he's right. I think that Michael Jackson actually was protecting a lot of kids in Hollywood from people that he knew to be pedophiles, and because Jackson wouldn't play along with those people, they buried him in the public and tried to make him look like he was guilty of what all of them were doing. I firmly believe that. And several of the people that grew up around him as Hollywood child stars say the same thing. That they never saw nothing, and if anything, Jackson was keeping them away from all the real weirdos in Hollywood. So yeah, I agree with Razor Fist. Dude was crashing because he couldn't handle super chats criticizing him. It's a funny video. Sounds about right. The best way to troll him is to do an impression of Abraham Lincoln. 80 and your mama ago. I watched his stream yesterday when he was playing the new Resident Evil game. Okay. Reminds me I need to finish watching the original Naked Gun movies. I didn't care for the new Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen all that much. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the originals to me. It felt like the timing was off on every joke. Do you think Naughty Dog is going to release soon? It's been a while, like Jack and Daxter made. No. Their next release will be that sci-fi crap. I don't. If anyone ends up making a new Jack and Daxter, I don't think it's going to be Naughty Dog. I just don't see it. I have Speed Racer on Blu-ray. It's a bit rare. I didn't know there was a 4K coming out. Yeah, you have to pre-order it because it's going to be limited release. Mel Gibson was vindicated. What's your favorite movie and why is it Mr. Nanny? I don't really have a favorite movie per se. My favorites are split into multiple subcategories. I was not a big fan of Mr. Nanny. The only scene I like is when Hogan gets electrocuted. That's the only scene I care for. Let's not forget the Naked Gun, which made Leslie Nielsen over the top in his best performance. I don't think so. Did I miss your opinion on Blue Point being shut down? That was one of the first things I talked about, AKL Max. You can catch that in the replay. You can catch that in the replay. So for the record tonight, let's see. 3, 10, 15, 16, 17. We've had $19 in donations tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it. Just keeping track. Don't want anyone to think that I've forgotten or don't appreciate. In fact, I will just keep a tally here so I can keep track of that. So we are at 19 buckaroos. 19 There we go. Keep track of that. All right. Oh, and by the way, y'all let me get to talking and I'd missed it. Two hours remaining. Is there any tech that you would like to see in a new phone? No, honestly, I think phones do everything that they need to do at this point. You know, if it can't make me a millionaire or suck me off, I don't. There's nothing new that I can expect from a phone. Ever seen Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton? Yes, long time ago. Best show on YouTube was Reliving the War. It covered Raw versus Nitro from 95 to 01. Thoughts on Richard Pryor? I respect what Pryor did, and I liked several of his movies, but I was more of a Carlin guy. I was a George Carlin guy. That being said, Carlin didn't really have anywhere near the movie career that Richard Pryor did, but still, when it came to stand-up, I was more of a Carlin guy. Have you seen Repo Man? Yes, I do not own Repo Man, but I have seen Repo Man. That might be one I need to look for. El Presidor's old... I know. Phones need to bring back a micro SD card slot. I like them to bring back a headphone jack too, but, we don't always get what we want. Those are all very fair points. Thank you. I thought so. That's why I said them. So for those who didn't show up on time, my snazzy new hat was gifted to me by my illegitimate son, Stranded J. It's from some company called Overlord. Never heard of them, but they sure make nice hats, and he knows that I'm a fan of Cap'n Caveman. So instead of wearing my Naughty Dog hat from my lifelong friend Anthony, I'm wearing this one instead to say thank you to Jay, because he paid like $35 for this hat. And I would never pay $35 for a ball cap, but I'm glad that he did, because I will wear it with pride, because I love me some Captain Caveman. Oh, that's another thing that's coming out on Blu-ray that I want. Laugh Olympics. The entire series of Laugh Olympics is coming out. I really want that. I'm excited for that. I loved Laugh Olympics when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons because it had all my favorite characters in it. It had the Flintstones in it. Yeah, I think it had the Flintstones in it. It had Scooby-Doo in it. It had Grape Ape in it. It had Captain Caveman in it. It had everybody in it. Did you like Bill Cosby before we knew about him? I liked his stand-up. Never liked any of his TV shows. Never liked his movies. But I liked his stand-up comedy. Particularly Bill Cosby himself. I mean, it wasn't dirty. It wasn't like, Pryor or Eddie Murphy. But he would just get up there and tell stories about his kids. Or going to the dentist. The dentist story was hilarious. It still is. But yeah. My main experience with Carlin was him being Thomas the Tank Engine's narrator. Honestly, the first time I ever experienced, my first experience with Carlin was as Rufus in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That was my first experience with him. I didn't even know that he was a stand-up comedian until 1996 when I happened to catch his HBO special Jammin' in New York or something like that. And I was in a hotel and had nothing to do, and it was on HBO, so I watched it, and that's when I became a fan of his comedy. And I went back through. I started buying his previous specials on CD, and I'd listen to them in the car. But yeah, the first time I was ever exposed to him was as Rufus in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. No, 8th doesn't have any kids. You don't think that if I was a grandpa, I would say something about it? Will Valve take... I mean, he's only 23. Will Valve take Xbox's place as a competitor to Sony? I don't think so. Have you watched 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple? No. I haven't watched 28 Years Later either, because I'm not into that series. I don't like fast zombies. I generally don't like zombies at all because I've gotten burnt out on them. Was Metroid Prime 4 a flop? All of my friends tell me it was. I wouldn't know because I don't have a Switch 2 yet. I would get a Switch 1, but I'm not paying $50 for old games. I got you there. Have you been to New Orleans? No. I had to drive through Louisiana to get here to Texas when I moved here, but I haven't been to Louisiana. I haven't been to New Orleans. Any opinion on Rodney Dangerfield? I like a couple of his movies. Are you excited for Soros? Not especially. That's more 8th's thing. Are you building up your physical media and ditching streaming services altogether? That's the plan, is that eventually we build up our physical library to the point where we don't need a streaming service anymore. Although I will probably always have Amazon Prime simply because of the discounts and the free delivery and shit. George Carlin was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Yeah, he was the hitchhiker. Yeah, if you don't give with the head, it's the unwritten rule of the road. Does the and of course he was also Father Glick or whatever in Dogma. And he was the dad in Jersey Girl. Carlin was in 3 of Kevin Smith's movies that I know of before he passed away. Does the upcoming Crimson Desert game look interesting to you? It looks interesting, but I'm going to wait until there's some reviews on it. Particularly, I'm going to see what Skill Up has to say about it before I actually play it. Because right now, to me, it screams too good to be true. Honestly, you know what I'm excited about? The next game that I'm excited to play? Y'all are going to think I'm nuts. Greedfall 2 comes out in like a week or two. I loved the first Greedfall. It was like, low budget fantasy Mass Effect. It had problems, it had issues, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And so I'm looking forward to Greedfall 2. They say New Orleans has good food, even its Italian cuisine. Yeah, I just don't have a real reason to travel down there. If I'm going anywhere, it's for a specific reason. Like I will be going, God willing, depends on how big my bonus is. I will be going to Retropalooza in May in Fort Worth. I want to go to San Antonio because, I'm a Tennessee kid, grew up idolizing Davy Crockett. I want to go and see where my childhood hero passed away. I want to see the Alamo. I've been here almost 10 years and I still haven't been to see the Alamo. 8th has been there. He went down there to see Breaking Benjamin, and while they were waiting for the concert to start, they walked around downtown, looked at the Alamo, went to the Riverwalk. I haven't been to any of it. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'd like to have the money to drive down there in July because I'm going to have a week off in July. And if I had the money, I'd get me a hotel room right there on the Riverwalk so I could just tour the Riverwalk, then walk down, see the Alamo, walk back to the hotel and be done with it. Just take a weekend there, stay overnight, that kind of thing. Because, now that I live where I live, I'm like 2.5 hours away from San Antonio, whereas I used to be like 90 minutes away. Let's see here. Thoughts on Animal House, John Belushi? I'm not as big a fan of Animal House. I'm more of a Revenge of the Nerds guy. And I know that sounds like blasphemy, but, you know, Animal House was more like 70s generation type film. I'm more of a, even though I was born in the 70s, I'm more of a child of the 80s. And so for me, Revenge of the Nerds is more relevant to me than Animal House is. Any opinion on Don Rickles? Yeah, he was funny as hell, especially when he was trolling people and cutting them down to size. That's my favorite thing about him. They say there's going to be another Dead or Alive game later this year. Well, okay. Did you ever play Dead Rising 2? I don't think I've played any of the Dead Rising games for more than a few minutes. I just didn't really get into them that much. My mom is from Shreveport because my grandpa was stationed in the Air Force there. In New Orleans, they have an Italian dish called, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that out loud. Thoughts about Marathon's lukewarm reception? Gee, who couldn't have seen that coming? What is Danny DeVito's best movie? Throw Mama from the Train. I went to San Antonio in 2006. It was nice. I saw the Alamo, and they had a hotel close to the Riverwalk. That's what I want to do. It's just take a weekend there. You know, go down there on a Saturday morning, book into the hotel, see the Alamo, do some of the, you know, maybe go to the Ripley's Museum there, get lunch at the Rainforest Cafe, walk around, do some shopping at the Riverwalk, go to the hotel, go to sleep, and then go home. Rest in peace, Robert Carradine. Yeah, Louis Skolnick, the Abraham Lincoln of nerds. You put everyone onto Greedfall back in the day. Yes, I did. Hope the sequel fixes all of its shortcomings and fleshes out the gameplay, iron out the kinks. One can hope. I mean, it looks graphically impressive compared to the first one. We'll see. I mean, having played almost all of Spider's games, when you buy a Spider game, you expect a little bit of jank at least. What do you think about Sony rolling back on their PC ports? Well, I mean, they weren't really making any money off of it anyway. You know, they were selling like 1 million copies apiece. Big whoop. I'm a few trophies away from platting Far Cry 6. I didn't mind it. All very good Giancarlo Esposito scenes. I think the Far Cry franchise gets laughed at a lot and made me want to go to Cuba. I haven't played it. I have the plat on Far Cry Primal and the plat on Far Cry 4. I only dabbled in Far Cry 5. I mean, I liked Far Cry when it had like supernatural stuff in it, like the first one where you had the bioengineered super creatures and all that stuff on it. That's when I liked Far Cry. You know, and I get the fact that they're, you know, that Far Cry is more about it being an open world with an island, a big island and quests and whatnot, as opposed to having a cohesive story. But I kind of wish they had a cohesive story, like Far Cry 1 and its little side. There was like a, I don't remember the name of it, but there was kind of a sort of a sequel to the original Far Cry that wasn't Far Cry 2, but I can't remember the name of it. I wish they had just kept that whole military base island with the mutants and all that. I wish they just moved that storyline forward. That's kind of what ruined that whole series for me. The two Danny DeVito movies I liked were Hoffa and War of the Roses. War of the Roses was depressing to me. Hoffa I liked, though. I liked Hoffa. I say his best movie is... I hated Twins. Favorite Robin Williams. I never have been a big fan of any of Schwarzenegger's comedies, except for maybe The Villain that he made before he was famous with Kirk Douglas, and that's mainly because it rips off a bunch of jokes from like Bugs Bunny and Wile E. Coyote cartoons. You've never seen The Villain. It's hilarious. It's a bad movie, but it's hilarious. If I remember right, Schwarzenegger literally plays a character named Handsome Stranger. Yeah. Favorite Robin Williams movie? Dead Poet Society. Nerd! Yeah, Ogre. Thoughts on the new God of War game? I'm still playing through it. I mean, they patched it I think like yesterday or the day before, which like fixed a couple of glitches and balancing issues. So I did some more of it today and beat a boss or two. And I mean, you know, it's your stereotypical Metroidvania, but with the progression system of God of War 2018, where instead of leveling up and get increasing experience to boost your stats, like in a more traditional Metroidvania, you level up by leveling up your equipment instead. And I just don't like it, and I don't feel that it does any favors for the Metroidvania genre. So I could have done without that, but otherwise it's okay. Still got a little bit of jank though. Hey, 7th, what website are you going to pre-order a Speed Racer from? It's on several. I don't know. Rob recommended one in one of his streams the other day, but I also know that you can pre-order it from Walmart.com, so I'll probably just pre-order it from there. I don't want the big, super expensive Steelbook edition that has all the extras. I just want the plain 4K that's got some extras. I don't care about all the other stuff. I just want it in 4K because I think that movie's going to be freaking phenomenal in HDR when I get my new TV. That's the main reason I want it. Because like I said, I've already got it on Blu-ray. You say his best movie is Conan the Barbarian. He was talking about Danny DeVito, not Schwarzenegger, bro. I didn't like Matilda. It's a little kid's movie. I don't give a crap about it. Commando and Raw Deal. Kindergarten. Yeah, Kindergarten Cop was funny, I guess. Remember Lucky Luke. Oh, the French Lucky Luke. That's the French cowboy cartoons, right? I used to watch those on Disney Channel when I was a kid. Disney Channel when I was a kid had Lucky Luke movies, and they had Asterix movies that were dubbed. And so that's why when I was a little kid, I knew who Lucky Luke and Asterix were when hardly anyone else did, was because I watched those on Disney Channel. My dad loves Red Heat. Red Heat is okay. In fact, me and 8th were talking about Red Heat the other day because I can't remember the specifics of it, but there's a particular line of dialogue in the bar scene that where dude had like cocaine in his leg or whatever. There's a particular line of dialogue in that movie that 8th thinks is really funny. My favorite Robin Williams movie is Good Morning Vietnam. That's a good movie. I just like Dead Poet Society a lot better. Maybe I should say what's my favorite Robin Williams comedy. For me, best Robin Williams comedy would be Mrs. Doubtfire. Hands down. It's the funniest comedy he ever did. I'm also extremely fond of Hook, but that's not really a Robin Williams movie. I mean, he's in it, but he's not being a Robin Williams character. And then, of course, there's the genie. But, there's not a whole lot of Robin Williams in Hook. Cocainium, yeah. 8th what was cracking 8th up was how Schwarzenegger pronounced cocaine. That it would come out like cocainium. And so 8th was having a laugh about that. That's right. I want the director's cut of Commando on 4K because that has even more deaths in it. I remember one time when 8th was maybe like 11 or 12, we sat down with a notepad and counted how many people Schwarzenegger killed in the regular theatrical cut of Commando, and it was over 200 people. So I can only imagine how many kills in the director's cut. Did you ever play a PS1 game called D? No, because I played it on Saturn. One of my favorite PS5 games has been Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. My brother suggested Elden Ring for PS5. Eighth keeps trying to talk me into playing Elden Ring, but I just haven't. I haven't bitten. I haven't bitten. However, I did get the plat on Rift Apart. It's good, but it's too short. It's like not near as big of a game as A Crack in Time on the PS3, which remains my favorite Ratchet and Clank game. You just got so much bang for your buck in A Crack in Time compared to Rift Apart. Like, you know, the arena battle section in A Crack in Time, it takes you hours to complete it. I did the battle arena in Rift Apart in a matter of minutes. My dad said he saw a part of Raw Deal being shot when he was in Chicago, and he told me Arnold was right close to him and told me he's not as tall as the internet says he is. Well, all he had to do was look at a picture of him standing between Wilt Chamberlain and Andre the Giant to know that Schwarzenegger is not nearly as tall as he claims to be. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but Conan the Destroyer, yeah, that's Andre the Giant inside the Dagoth monster at the end of the movie. That's Andre the Giant in that costume. So there's a picture out there of Schwarzenegger from the filming of Conan the Destroyer standing between Wilt Chamberlain and Andre the Giant, and he looks like he's 5 foot even. He's so small compared to them. So yeah, I don't doubt that he's, maybe 6'1". He's definitely not like Hulk Hogan or 80s Hulk Hogan or Scott Hall or Kevin Nash size. Did you not mess with Hollow Knight games because they added Souls-like elements to it? I actually beat Hollow Knight. I didn't plat it, but I beat it. I haven't played Silksong. Dustin Hoffman was a pretty good hook. Outbreak is my favorite movie of his. I can take or leave Dustin Hoffman, although I did like him as Hook. He was very funny. Oh, shit. Oh. Soul Drift. Death to Smoochie had some funny moments, but I would give it a 5 out of 10. You know what? Actually, I still say that Mrs. Doubtfire is his best comedy, but in my opinion, Death to Smoochie gives it a run for its money because he is so over-the-top insane in that flick. I love Robin Williams in Death to Smoochie. In fact, that's one that I want to own physically. I love Death to Smoochie. Was the kills during the raid on the island where his daughter was being... Yes, most of them. Did you like Tango and Cash? I think one of the best actors of the 80s was Kurt Russell. Oh, Big Trouble in Little China is one of my absolute favorite 80s movies. No 4K edition, but I do have the Blu-ray. For whatever reason, that one hasn't been released on 4K yet. I don't know why. But yeah, I love that movie. And it flopped hard at the theater. But I adored it. I adored it. I bootlegged it when it came out on VHS, and I wore that tape down to the nub. Has 8th been enjoying Resident Evil 9? I haven't heard much about... Well, 8th just replied. My dad was 6'5" at the time. I think he lost a few inches now that he's in his 60s. Yeah, gravity will do that to you, Soul Drift. It compacts your spine. But my dad said he looked like he was 5'10". I ate a nice cameo earlier. Oh. But yeah, I'm really happy that I found that Star Trek the Animated Series, because I have most of the shows that I loved as a kid on either DVD or Blu-ray. And that was definitely one of the ones I wanted to snag because I just loved that show so much when I was a kid. There's some that I still haven't snagged, like Filmation or Ruby Spears, one or the other. They did both a Lone Ranger, a Tarzan, and a Zorro cartoon back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I'd like to have all of those. I'd also like to have the original Johnny Quest, not so much the new adventures of Johnny Quest that came out in like the 90s or early 2000s or whenever it was, but the original Johnny Quest. I'd like to have that too, because I watched it when I was a kid. Sim Sim Salabim. I watched that a lot. Uh, the penis-shaped cookie in Death to Smoochie had me laughing. Yeah, I know. Well, everything had me laughing in Death to Smoochie. Death to Smoochie is also one of my favorite Ed Norton movies. Thoughts on Xbox leadership? That still exists? Hey, oh, that's not for me. I know you're a PS3 guy over 360. How close was the competition? Was 360 at top? Well, yeah. 360 was outselling PS3 for the first several years of that gen. In fact, PS3 didn't end up pulling out the win until like the very tail end. It finally outsold the 360 around June of 2013, the summer before the PS4 came out. That's how long it took for PS3 to finally catch up and outsell the 360. My dad loved Johnny Quest growing up in the city. Oh, yeah. Well, it was in reruns by the time I came along, but I really liked it. I liked a lot of those older shows, and then there's more obscure stuff. There was a show I used to watch when I was a kid that was called Sport Billy, and it was about this kid who he had a sports bag that had all sorts of cool gadgets and stuff in it, and he'd pull it out of the bag and it'd be tiny, and then he'd put it on the ground and it'd grow to full size. So he had like a jet and a helicopter and all this other stuff, and he carried it around in this little bag. And it was called Sport Billy. And I remember liking that show a lot when I was a little kid. But I don't have it on. I don't know that it was ever released physically, but I do have almost every show that I liked. Not all of them, but almost. I've got all of Batman, the animated series. I've got all of G.I. Joe, all of He-Man, all of Silverhawk, Thundercats, Transformers, Voltron. I even have all of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though I didn't really get into that show because right around when that show came out was when I got into the NES. And so I wasn't really watching that many cartoons because I was playing NES instead of coming home and watching cartoons in the afternoon. But I still have it because I still have a certain nostalgia for it. But that entire bottom shelf over there is mostly shows on DVD or Blu-ray. So I've got like all of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, all of the original Battlestar Galactica, all of Greatest American Hero, all of Automan. I don't have all of A-Team. I want that one. I don't have all of Knight Rider. I want that one. I don't have all of the $6 Million Man. I really want that one, but it's very expensive. Let's see here. Marvel's Wolverine release date. I know. Johnny Quest is one of the best shows. Another good but underrated was Pirates of Darkwater. I didn't get into Pirates of Darkwater the show, but what I did like was the Super Nintendo beat 'em up that they made of Pirates of Darkwater. I wish I had that one, but it's not one of the cheaper ones out there, sadly. Any interest in Passion of the Christ 2? I was very excited for it until I found out that Mel Gibson had replaced Jim Caviezel with a younger actor because he didn't want to have to spend the money it would take to de-age him. Because, of course, it's Christ. Christ doesn't age. He's timeless. So instead of having to pay for CG to de-age Jim Caviezel in all of the scenes, he hired some unknown Italian actor to play Jesus. So that killed all my interest in it. 7th, do you think Media Molecule will close down, or PlayStation will close Media Molecule? It's my understanding that they have Media Molecule working on something. I just don't know what it is. But I imagine if it doesn't come out fairly soon, that yeah, they'll kill Media Molecule, or they'll turn them into a purely support studio. Are there Valkyries or anything similar in Ragnarok? I haven't played Ragnarok myself. 8th has played Ragnarok and has recommended it to me. 7th, Who wins in a fight between Mega Man and Astro Boy? Astro Boy. Do you feel some type of way that Smiling Friends is not getting canceled, but rather ending? I never got into Smiling Friends. That's not a me thing. I heard Sergeant Slaughter left wrestling for a brief period to do G.I. Joe. Not just take... No, he didn't leave wrestling to do G.I. Joe. He got in trouble for doing G.I. Joe because he didn't run it past Vince before licensing himself to G.I. Joe. And if he had mentioned it to Vince beforehand, Vince could have possibly done some G.I. Joe cross promotion with the WWF, like G.I. Joe themed wrestling figures and stuff like that. He could have made a ton of money off of it, but Sergeant Slaughter went into business for himself, and so it got him in a lot of trouble with Vince. That's the big thing with G.I. Joe. Any PlayStation exclusive franchise you think needs a revival? Legend of Dragoon, Beyond the Beyond. Basically, any of the really good PlayStation exclusive RPGs. Remember, by the time Breath of Fire 3 happened, they were PlayStation exclusive. So I'd like Capcom, since Capcom's on such a roll, to bring back the Breath of Fire series. No one even talks about it anymore. Do you like the BioShock franchise? Very much so, although I did not care for... I liked the original game. I didn't care too much for BioShock 2. BioShock 3 was a little better, but I still was not a huge fan of it. Do you like The Chosen? Next season is next year. Yes, I love The Chosen. It's a very good show. Did you like the Ultra Force cartoon and beat 'em up video game? Ultra Force. Ultra Force. Doesn't ring a bell. Siphon Filter and SOCOM. Yeah, those are two series that they really should revive. I mean, they talk about they want a live service game. There's a built-in audience for SOCOM. It was a very successful online multiplayer game for Sony. Then what'd they do? They turned it into a third-person shooter on the PS3 and then killed the studio that made it. I think it was Zipper, the same studio that made Mag. Maybe that's why they thought that SOCOM shouldn't come back as an online multiplayer shooter because Mag flopped. Have you watched X-Men 97? Yes. Or The Boys? Yes. I like them both. I'm not that big of a fan of The Boys spin-off. The whatever 5, Con 5, whatever. The one that's at the school. Don't care for that one. Did you ever play that game Murdered Soul Suspect? Yeah, I have it on PS4. I actually got pretty far in it, and then I got distracted and put it down and never picked it back up again. But I still have it on the shelf back there. I wish Mag got a sequel or was made available for PS4 PS5. I don't understand the hate for it. Because it was very generic. It was very generic. And people didn't really play it the way it was supposed to be played. You know, everyone was supposed to be acting as a team, but half the time, everyone just ran around going into business for themselves. And it suffered for it. It just wasn't very... Yeah, Gen V. It just wasn't very good compared to other online multiplayer shooters that were out there at the time. It certainly wasn't going to compete with Call of Duty's multiplayer mode. Not that I cared for any of that stuff anyway. I mainly bought Mag so I could play it and see what it was all about with friends of mine on PS3, and everybody abandoned it within like a couple of weeks of it coming out. So money wasted, became a coaster. Still sitting over there somewhere, I think. SOCOM, Helldivers, and Killzone or Sunset Overdrive could all work for live service. Yeah, and what did they do? They invested a bunch of money in live service that nobody wanted to play. You know what used to be really popular in PS3? Resistance online multiplayer, because it had like 60 player matches. Whatever. They could use it. Yes, they could. Could bring back Warhawk. That's a good point. Although Warhawk originally was single player, the PS3 version was multiplayer, and it had a small but cult audience. That game stayed alive through pretty much on damn near the entire PS3 generation. Played it for 3 years before I decided to put it up. I was not that big of a fan of Warhawk, but it did have its following. Even the online-only version for PS3 had its following. I even have Starhawk, the sci-fi spin-off to Warhawk. I still have it sitting over there for PS3. After PS6, are consoles going to change drastically and become more like PCs? Well, that certainly was the direction that Microsoft wanted it to go prior to this new management coming out. I don't know what they're going to do now, but that's all the new Xbox was going to be, was a pre-built PC with the Xbox label slapped on it. So basically, you were going to be getting something that was maybe almost the quality of an Alienware gaming desktop with Xbox slathered all over it. That's all it was going to be. It was just going to be like the Xbox Rogue Ally. It's just a handheld with the Xbox logo on it with Game Pass installed on it. Not actual proprietary Xbox hardware. When will we know the next PlayStation exclusive and future releases? What event should I keep my eye out for? Well, I mean, the most recent State of Play showed some new stuff. But I think it's going to be a while before we start hearing about like a whole list of stuff, because they're behind on new releases because of all the canceled live service games. I wish Gabriel Logan was in PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale. I wish they'd bring back PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale. At least it was an exclusive fighting game. Sure, it was a ripoff of you know what it was a ripoff of. I can't even bring the name of. I'm getting old, y'all. Smash Brothers. It's a ripoff of Smash Brothers. But it was a PlayStation exclusive fighter. I mean, even Sega Genesis had exclusive fighting games. Why can't Sony have exclusive fighting games? They had Eternal Champions and stuff. Did you ever like Grateful Dead? Nope. August 8th is a beautiful day. I hear a bunch of hippies crying. Yeah, August 8th is a beautiful day. No effects. I liked Starhawk. I wish that would be more available now as a remastered edition. I heard Alan Wake 2 is brilliant. I haven't played the first one, though. I dabbled in the first one. I didn't play it all the way through. I'm not going to lie. I didn't like Infamous. Philistine. Infamous was great. Infamous was one of the best superhero series ever that wasn't tied to an existing IP. You just had to give it time to unlock some of the abilities and stuff. Those, especially the second one. Oh my gosh. Infamous 2 was great. Blue Point also pitched to Jack and the a-hole that took over Naughty Dog, whose name escapes me because he's not worth remembering it. The guy that got Amy Hennig shit canned. He talked about trying to bring back Jack and Daxter, but it was going to be all dark and gritty because that's the only thing he knows how to do, and they decided not to do it. Because I think he figured out that, it was going to piss a bunch of people off. But that's all he knows how to do. He is an absolute one-trick pony. That has somehow conned people into thinking, that he's an actual auteur with any vision. He's not. He only knows how to do one thing. That's why Uncharted 4, story-wise, sucked. That's why The Last of Us 2 sucked, because he only knows how to do one thing. Yeah, Druckmann. One of my favorite games of all time is Batman Arkham Asylum. Agreed. It's like a 3D Metroidvania. It's great. The isolation on the island, Mark Hamill's and the Botanical Garden, stunning boss fights, all the drone characters. Yeah, it's a great game. Thoughts on Dave Filoni becoming president of Lucasfilm? I saw it coming. Although originally I thought that he would be co-president with John Favreau. I thought they'd run it together, but you know, all would Microsoft have for a Smash Brothers like game is 2 characters, Master Chief and an agent from Crackdown. Yeah, I'm not excited for Intergalactic at all. Did you give that recent State of Play a 6 out of 7? I'll believe 5.5 out of 7. How revolutionary was Halo 3? I didn't think it was that revolutionary at all. Because up until that point, I'd been playing shooters on PC. So to me, Halo 3 wasn't jack. Because there were already games on... When Halo 3 came out, there was already games on PC that were leagues beyond it. So, you know, Halo 3 didn't impress me at all. Cuckman reminds me of Tony Gilroy, who's also an overrated hack on the level of David Jet. I don't think I'm even familiar with Tony Gilroy's work. I wish the Punisher game from PS5 would be released for PlayStation Classics. Yeah, that was a good game. It's a good game. Way better than that Punisher online-only shooter crap that came out for PS3 and 360. That game sucked. Oh, man, that was a ripoff. Please buy Last of Us Remake Remaster for $90. No! I will not. Because 8th already bought it. 8th already bought it. Is Kid Icarus underrated? Maybe it could do with a revival. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you know, aside from the fact that it had a crappy control scheme, the one that came out for 3DS was pretty good. I know you did the video talking about Halo 3 from one of the old days. Yes, I did. Thoughts on Genndy Tartakovsky making an animated Game of Thrones TV series? I hadn't heard about that. I'm not as impressed with that guy as other people are. I kind of don't like his art style and the whole kind of, you know, lo-fi blocky stuff. Don't care for it. Did exclusivity partnerships make the best games of the 7th gen? That could be argued. I mean, one of the things that made PS3 so great was that, like I said, it felt like you had a new game coming out every month. But even on top of that, you also had a ton of third-party exclusives coming from Japan. So you had this huge library of PlayStation 3 exclusive RPGs that just really padded out that library. You didn't have as much of it with the PS... Well, you did with the PS4, but the problem with the PS4 was how much of the first-party exclusives were sequels instead of new IP. You know, Sony played it really safe with the PS4 as far as like what they were cranking out on a first-party level. I mean, you had some new IP like Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man, but most of it was just sequels or reboots, like, you know, the new God of War. Played Yote, dropped it almost halfway. It was so boring. Tsushima was much better. Yeah, 8th, I haven't played it yet. 8th told me that the gameplay was fine, but that the story wasn't near as good as the first game. I wish they would at least give us a remastered edition for Resistance and Killzone if they're not going to revive them. Yeah, you know, You don't even have to like remake them. Just give them a graphical upgrade and release the Resistance trilogy, the Killzone trilogy. Did you know Jenny Tartakovsky was Lucas's original? I'd never heard that. I know you're not the biggest fan of Rockstar, but I really think GTA. I really think GTA 4 in terms of story was great. More power to you. That nothing Rockstar does anything for me. Not really, except for maybe the original Red Dead Redemption. I liked it. Eighth is correct. Never played Rise of Ronin, but I haven't played it either. Eighth has beat it. I don't know if he platted it, but he's beat it. And he said it was just kind of eh. I mean, think about it, guys. We have over 200 physical games for PS5 at this point. If you look back there behind me, that entire top shelf is PS5 all the way to the end. And that's not all of it. That's just the ones I have down here. Eighth has more of it up in his game room. I think Killzone will get remade like God of War trilogy. We'll see. Any interest in Neo 3? No, Eighth is already playing it. I think he already beat it. But, you know, it's a Souls-like. I'm not that big into Souls-likes, so... I'm more into traditional open world RPGs or action RPGs or turn-based RPGs. I'm not so much into the Souls-like. It's not that I consider them like, you know, super difficult or anything. To me, they're tedious. You know, I like you know, exploring a world map, finding stuff that improves my character, eventually becoming this overpowered killing machine, and then laying waste across the map. That's what I like to do. And with Souls likes, you know, you can build certain builds that break the game or make you OP or what have you. But it's also, you know, the combat of it is more direct and strategic, and you know, a lot of parrying, a lot of dodging, and you know, I just like to go in and, you know, maybe dodge, but I don't like doing a whole lot of block and parry and all that kind of thing. I just like to go in and do combos and or use a turn-based menu. So, you know, what can I say? It's just not my thing. Is there a modern setting RPG that interests you, like GURPS or Fallout? I like the Fallout series. I just didn't like Fallout 76 at all. I liked Fallout 4 with the exception of the whole base building mechanic. I just don't feel that game needed it at all. I felt they put it in there just to experiment for Fallout 76 to get people to try to get people interested in that mechanic for when 76 came out. And I just don't think Fallout 4 needed that at all. And that's why I never bothered to plat Fallout 4, because I just didn't like the amount of grinding it was going to take to build the town up to the point where I could earn some of those trophies. So I have the plat in Fallout 3. I never did get the plat in Fallout New Vegas because it ran so poorly on PS3. Now there's one that I wish that they would remaster and re-release, so I could play it without it crashing every couple hours. Or at least a remake the Vita games for them, including Uncharted Golden Abyss, where you could press a dodge button instead of swiping. I agree. Remastering the PSP God of War games would be good too. I mean, I know they already re-released them on PS3, but come on, that was 2 generations ago. When do you think we'll get Kingdom Hearts 4? Don't hold your breath. It's going to be a while, I think. Any opinion on Sekiro? Maybe next year or 2028. Any opinion on Sekiro Shadows Die Twice? Still not my thing. It's my understanding that was originally going to be a Tenchu game. a reboot of Tenchu, but instead it became Sekiro. I played some of it. It wasn't doing anything. I beat like the first 2 or 3 bosses, and I was just not having fun, so I just put it down. I think Darksiders was a cool franchise, especially for I love Darksiders. Yeah. That being said, I've never actually beaten any of the Darksiders games because I like them, but I just keep getting distracted by other stuff. Eventually, I will go back and finish them. Elden Ring, you can definitely get OP and with summons. Yeah. Did you not? Of course, me and Eighth were actually talking about that the other day. According to Eighth, that's not Elden Ring is not really a game you want to play with your friends because of the fact that it makes the bosses harder to beat. It lowers the amount of damage they take, it increases the amount of damage they dish out, and it increases the size of their life bar for every person that you add into your crew. So it's better to play them solo. Did you not Darksiders 3 because it was more of a Souls-like? I haven't actually played it. Eighth has played it. We have it, but I haven't actually played the third one. What do you mean by platinum? Earned the platinum trophy. If I say I got the plat or I wanted to go plat that game, it's 100%ing the game. Any games currently that are similar to Fable 2? I love the feel of that game. Nothing springs to mind, really. What are your thoughts on the Stalker series? Never got into it. Fat Gamer returned as a Nintendo fan. He will return as whatever he thinks will earn him views. Because he's just a grifter. Absolutely worthless channel. I don't know why anybody would watch him. Pursuit Force had potential. Yes, it did. That was a fun series. Do you think Fallout 3 is a good 3D realization of the original games? Not really, but it was fun. When do you think we'll see Darksiders 4? Not sure. Not sure. I'm surprised we're getting one after that co-op isometric thing that they put out a while back that me and Eighth started but never finished. Since Halo is on PlayStation now, do you think Killzone will return with a crossover with Halo? Very highly doubt that. Way of the Samurai 3 was underrated. Well, okay. Oh, you're a trophy hunter. I used to be. I haven't been one for many years. I beat Shady J because he told me that there was no way that I'd ever be able to catch up to him, and I told him that I could beat his platinum level within a year, and I did. I earned more platinums than him by the end of the year, and I'm still ahead of him even now, even though I don't hunt platinums anymore, and he still does. Not on the level he used to, but he still goes after plats if it's a game that he really wants to plat. I don't really chase after him anymore. Either I earn it or I don't. But I used to. I think now I'm at like 179 platinums, something like that. Oh, wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. One hour remaining. We've had $19 in donations. Thank you to everyone that's donated. Thoughts on farting in the face of NPCs in Fable 3? Funny or too far? I thought it was hilarious. I don't... Was that Fable 3? Well, whatever. Anytime that you can fart in a video game, I think it's hilarious. Why not? The creators of... I mean, how funny would it be if Joel's laying there, slowly dying of all the damage that he's taken from that golf club, and Abby turns around, looks Ellie dead in the eyes, and then squats down and just rips one right in his dying face. Wouldn't you have liked that scene a lot better than the one that as it is now? I would have. The creators of BioShock are going to bring out a new IP called Judas. Don't know what's happening with it. Haven't heard anything in months. As far as I know, it's still in production. Thoughts on High on Life 2? I have not played it because I wasn't a tremendous fan of High on Life 1. Shell Shock Nam 67 should also be on PlayStation Classics, just not the sequel. The sequel is a disaster. I haven't played either one of them. Are the Portal genres worth playing? I mean, the Portal games? 8th really liked them. I wasn't that into them because I'm not big on puzzle games, especially not 3D puzzle games. When it comes to puzzle games, I don't get much more sophisticated than Tetris. That's about as highfalutin as I get. I'm calling it now. SOCOM Resistance and Killzone are getting remade next. More power to you. I hope you're right, but I don't think you are. I've been getting into the welding business. Fun and mesmerizing when in the zone. Okay. I hear you can make a good living that way too. Abe's Odyssey, my favorite game you can fart in. I never got into the Abe's games. I just don't like them. I don't know. The creatures are ugly and, you know, they talk funny and I just couldn't get into it. Didn't care for them at all. Not at all, man. I could go for some Pizza Hut right now. But I'm not gonna. Cause have y'all noticed how expensive it is to order pizza nowadays? Because me and 8th don't like the same kind of pizza. So when I order pizza for me and 8th, it ends up being like $60-something worth of pizza. Because 8th can't just have pizza. Me, I can have pizza and an order of breadsticks. I'm good. 8th has to have a pizza, some breadsticks, and an order of wings. 8th can put away food like nobody's business. And his metabolism, he burns that shit. You know? I'm telling you, 8th is like a 5'6" little powerhouse. He's just like a wound up ball of muscle waiting to be unleashed. I swear he reminds me of I tell him this all the time. He reminds me so much of my cousin who accidentally broke his own neck a few years ago because he had this rare form of arthritis that would cause him to randomly pass out. And so one day he was walking down the hallway of his house and it triggered on him and he passed out in his hallway, and the angle that he passed out at, he hit his head on the wall on the way down, and just going down, it just snapped his neck. They found him dead in the hallway. Broke my heart. It was the closest, him and his brother were the closest things to brothers I ever had. But 8th reminds me of him a lot, which is very strange because 8th never got to spend that much time around him because, you know, they all live in Chattanooga, and, you know, 8th never lived in Chattanooga because I was living in Florida when 8th was conceived. So he's gotten to visit them a few times, but not enough to where it could have affected 8th on a personality level. But just in the way 8th conducts himself and carries himself, he reminds me a lot of my cousin, who I miss very much. Although he's more of a talker than my cousin was. My cousin was the type that, you know, if he didn't have something that he felt added to the conversation, he'd just as soon not add anything and maybe just, you know, he'd nod. And that's just the way he was. He never really had a whole lot to say. If you didn't know him, it would be very easy for you to just forget that he was even in the room, because he was just fine to just chill and only participate if someone asked him to, kind of guy. But, you know, in the 90s, he was a lot like my best friend, because he and I, when I wasn't playing with the band or when I wasn't out with my girlfriend or whatever, he and I would hang out a lot. You know, we'd go to comic book shops, we'd go to movies, we'd go to the video game store, we'd go to the music store, pick out a new CD, you know, we'd go grab something to eat, you know. Sometimes on Saturday nights, if I didn't have band practice, Me, him, his brother, and his nephew would sit and play Magic the Gathering all night, or Castle Risk. You know, it was just fun, man. And you know, I don't know if it hurt his feelings or whatnot when I moved to Florida, but we didn't really talk that much after I moved to Florida, and a lot of that just has to do with the fact that Jimmy. I shouldn't have said that. His name was Jimmy. He didn't like to. He didn't like to talk on the phone that much. You know, and when you're living 8 hours away, and you have a family member that doesn't like to talk on the phone, yeah. But I miss him. I At the time that he passed away, I had not seen him in years. I had the last time I saw him was the summer of 2012, and it was so weird. Me and Eighth went to Gatlinburg for a vacation in the summer of 2012. Uh, it was the first vacation I had under my current employer because I'd already booked it before I got the job, and they said no problem, you can have that. You can have that time off, no big deal. We know you already paid for everything. So we went, and out for just completely random, we come walking out of the elevator at our hotel, and there's my cousin and his brother and his mom standing there in the hallway. Hadn't seen them since 2007. Hadn't seen them in 5 years, and they just happened to book a hotel, the same hotel as me, on the same weekend that I had picked out. There they were, and we just happened to bump into them coming out of because our room was on the same floor. Now, how crazy is that? And y'all tell me God don't exist? Please. Please. Anyway. Let me catch up real quick. Lol, lol. I'm getting laid off. Sorry to hear that, man. Any sign of Ultra Steel? He still messages me on Twitter. Did you ever play point and click game Machinarium? Yes. I think I played it on PS4. I think they ported it to PS4. I don't get what that reference is, Soul Drift. Is Eighth, I'll get one of everything type of dinner? No, but when it comes to pizza, he's not as into pizza as I am, so he has to have something a little extra to give him some variety, I guess you could say. Pepperoni, hot, steamy, cheesy pizza, crunchy crust. My favorite thing right now at Pizza Hut is their New York style pizza. I mean, yeah, it doesn't taste like real New York style, but it's halfway decent. It's close enough. Did you play Returnal? I played it a little bit. That was more of an Eighths thing. I wish I could eat that stuff without consequences on the digestive system. Well, I always have consequences because of my health problems, but it is what it is. Sorry to hear that, Seventh. What a sad story. Yes. Yes, it is. I miss him. Part-time I've been, and his brother is going through a lot of things. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but his wife has had a lot of health problems. And so he's having to go through a lot of things for her right now. So, yeah. Been rough. It's been rough. There's not anything that I can do about it one way or the other because they live, like, 1,200, 1,500 miles from here? Part-time, I've been at Marco's Pizza until my welding gets going. Marco's is good. I've had Marco's. It's fine, but I don't think it's good enough to warrant what they charge for it. Is Shadow of the Colossus worth playing? If you like that kind of thing, sure. In the Dayton area, especially the remake of it on PS4 was very well done. Blue Point. In the Dayton area, including parts of Kentucky and Indiana, there's a pizza chain called La Rosa. Best I've ever had. They even sell some of their products at the Kroger shops around Miami Valley. Never had it. I always enjoy Seventh telling stories like that. Coincidence? No. Too much coincidence there. Same hotel, same day, same activities booked, same floor. Happened to come walking out of the elevator just as they're starting to push the elevator button. No one told them that we were going to be there. They just happened to book that exact same weekend. There was no special things going on there. No special events going on at the time. When you have too many of those things happen like that, you stretch the level of credulity by calling it coincidence. I've seen enough things in my life to where I can confidently say that when it comes to stuff like that, there is no such thing as coincidence. It's closer to providence. 7th, do you want to arm wrestle me? Not especially. I have arthritis. Are we going to see an Ozempic 7th anytime soon? My doctor's appointment is not until March, and even when it is, I would probably end up on Mounjaro before I'd end up on Ozempic, because supposedly Mounjaro is not as bad for your eyes as Ozempic is. And my eyes are bad enough as already. I don't need them to be any worse. When it comes to Chinese food, I know you like pepper steak with fried rice and egg rolls. That's correct. I mean, define hard, but how hard is Bloodborne? I don't think Bloodborne's all that hard. I mean, I beat Bloodborne. It's just, more tedious. It takes longer to get there. I don't think there's been any magic powers tonight. No, there haven't. Are you good, bro? Yeah, I just didn't eat anything today that would generate the magic powers. I always put anchovies on my pepperoni pizza whenever I'm with a group. It's my way of indicating that it's mine. I don't like anchovies. Although one time when I've told this story, one time when I was a teenager and I was working at Pizza Hut, I was working there with a friend of mine, and my friend said, "I'll bet you $20 that you can't eat a raw anchovy right out of the can." I said, "You're on." So we opened up the can of anchovies, and I pulled one of them out of there, with all the little bones and everything. And I just laid it on my tongue, swallowed it whole, didn't even chew. And so he was, pulling out a couple of tins. I said, "Double or nothing, I can do something even grosser." And he was like, "You're on." And so I drank all the juice out of the can. That was the same Pizza Hut where one of their chefs got fired because the manager walked in and caught him with his pants down around his ankles, beating off into the dough mix. Some of the crazy stuff, man. Some of the crazy stuff that I've witnessed in my 51 years. I'm from England. Is White Castle or In-N-Out Burger nice? Both are nice. Although I personally prefer Crystal over White Castle, which is basically the southern redneck version of White Castle. The same kind of burgers, but they put different things on them. I remember some of the questions I asked, or someone else asked. Someone said, "What's your opinion?" And you said, "Of what?" Well, I mean, White Castle's Midwest. I think in the South it's called, well, no, they're two totally different restaurant chains. The burgers are shaped the same, but they put different things on them. Like, I can't even remember what they put on a White Castle, but with a Crystal, you get some chopped onions, a pickle, and mustard, and that's all that's on the burger. What's your feelings on Herman Holst? He should be fired. Divine intervention. Physical media forever indeed. You're definitely. Vampire was a decent RPG. I have it. Haven't beat it, but I have it. Do you like the Blade movies? I like the first two. Third one was horseshit. I did not like Vampire at all. I mean, it's kind of like playing. It's kind of like playing Greedfall. It's not a great game per se, but if you give it a chance, it grows on you. Although, let me say that Greedfall is way better than Vampire. Would you ever put a pickle on a pizza? Not really. Do you think? Here's one thing, interesting thing. Oven baked pizza that you buy at the store, like DiGiorno's and all that. I dip it in mustard. I dip those in mustard. Doesn't matter if it's Red Baron, DiGiorno's, Walmart brand, whatever. If it's frozen pizza that you have to heat up in the oven, I dip it in mustard. I think it comes from when I used to get those square pieces of pizza at high school. I'd roll those up and dip them in mustard because they just had next to no flavor. So I needed something to spice it up. And I just got so in the habit of that I do it with, I don't do it with Pizza Hut or Domino's or Papa John's or any of that. I only do it with the pizza that you get out of the microwave or the pizza you buy at the store. Now, one pizza I absolutely hate are the ones that are made at Walmart or at the grocery store. The ones that are cellophane and they have them right there. I don't like those at all. They're not good to me. I'd rather have a DiGiorno's. Uh, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I have it. I have it on PS4, and yeah, that's pretty much the best way to play it. Maybe the PC version would be better on Steam. I know they're different. I was just saying where the small burgers were from and mostly based. He was making a wacky pizza. Why was Blade Trinity so bad? Felt like Wesley Snipes didn't want to be in it. He didn't like sharing the spotlight with the other actors, mainly. He didn't like feeling like he had been made the co-star of his own, or the supporting actor in his own movie. Which I can't say I blame him. 8th, I have the platinum on Vampire and it never grew on me. I got you. Thoughts on Devil May Cry 5? I barely played it. And that's because, if I'm playing a Devil May Cry game, I want to play as Dante, or I want to play as the other guy, the other white-haired guy whose name escapes me. I don't want to play with like animal powers and crap. I don't want to spend a Devil May Cry game swapping from character to character to character. I want to play as Dante, or I want to play as Nero or whatever. I don't want to play as these other people. And that's why I didn't get into Devil May Cry 5. I was playing it all right, and then it switched to that dude that, has like ghost animal powers, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I turned it off. Virgil, whatever. Virgil, Nero, the guy with the claw. I prefer using ranch on pizza. Yeah, I get that, but I'm not that big of a ranch person. Not really. I like it on salad every now and again. But when I was in high school, I dipped everything in mustard. Have you played Stray, the cat game? Yeah, I did. I beat it, didn't plat it. Didn't like it enough to plat it. Pickle on cabbage, aka sauerkraut, which goes good on a hot dog with mustard. I've never been a big fan of sauerkraut. I'm not really a big fan of hot dogs either. Thoughts on White Men Can't Jump? Well, for one thing, it's a lie. I mean, have you ever watched Larry Bird? The only good thing about Blade 3 was that song, that Fatal. Okay. Speaking of Dante, remember the game Dante's Inferno? Yeah, it's the best God of War ripoff ever made. Do you think Home Alone 3 was funnier, not better than the first two? No. You didn't finish my question. What question? My sister used to put ranch on pizza rolls. You're obsessed with mustard. I'm not obsessed with mustard. I said when I was in high school, I used to dip everything in mustard because high school food had so little flavor. And I wasn't a big ranch guy, so it was mustard or nothing. I'm not that way now, but I still put mustard on pizza because that's just a habit, a microwave pizza or oven pizza, because that's just a habit I picked up in high school and I never gotten rid of it. I hated that guy with the cane in Devil May Cry. I think he was Dante's twin brother. Whatever. I don't. Whatever. I'll eventually go back to it. I just didn't like playing as that guy with the ghost powers, the little ghost animals or whatever the crap. I just didn't like it. I like Devil May Cry up through 4, but then with 5, it just felt like they were unnecessarily overcomplicating things, adding too much to it. Some people put ketchup on pizza. Well, I mean, it's already got tomato sauce on it, so. His name is V. He's the human part of Virgil. I appreciate that you know that, 8th, but I really don't care. But I appreciate that you know that. One of my favorite sandwiches growing up was a salami and mustard sandwich with Swiss cheese on a pretzel bread. Well, that's almost kind of like... I could see that. Extra mustard made it better. Well, when I was a kid, my favorite sandwich was a slice of cheese, 5 pickles, and a little hamburger dill sliced pickles, mayo, mustard, and Ruffles potato chips to make it crunchy. And I just smush it all down. Crunch, 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 crunch. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Is Sloppy Joe nice? I mean, it's okay if you've got nothing better to eat. When we do Sloppy Joe mix here, 8th doesn't even bother to put it in a bun. He just puts the meat in a bowl and just eats it plain like that. I put it on a bun with mayo and mustard. I like ketchup on pasta. Now, I've never done I did the ketchup on pasta thing once when I was living by myself, when I was a bachelor. And I was between paychecks, and all I had to eat in the house was spaghetti noodles. And I had a choice of things. I could either put ketchup on it because I didn't have any spaghetti sauce, or I could put Italian dressing on it. I tried it with the spaghetti sauce and hated it. So then I tried it with Italian dressing, and I threw some bacon bits in there. And I actually liked that better than eating spaghetti with ketchup. Now, my dad did not like spaghetti sauce at all. When my dad had spaghetti, he put butter in it with ground beef. That was his spaghetti. What can I say? I used to eat barbecue Lay's chips dipped in A1 sauce. That actually sounds interesting. I would try that. I like A1 steak sauce. Do you like Caddyshack? Yes. I do not, however, like Caddyshack 2. Caddyshack 2 is garbage. Who wants to see Jackie Mason do Rodney Dangerfield? Jackie Mason wasn't that funny to begin with. That was just a bad idea always around. The minute they were told that Dangerfield didn't want to do it, they should have just stopped it right there. Dangerfield didn't want to do it. Bill Murray didn't want to do it. Chevy Chase showed up strictly for the paycheck. That movie was god-awful. Your grandmother's done the same thing with spaghetti. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, if that's a generational thing. But yeah, that was the only way my dad would eat spaghetti, was with butter and ground beef. He didn't like spaghetti sauce at all. The best spaghetti I had was browned butter and cheese. Can't eat too much though. My favorite spaghetti of all time, and you can't get it anymore because the restaurant doesn't exist anymore. For any of you over the last 20 years who have been to Disney World and have gone to the Polynesian resort there on Bay Lake, one of the 3 hotels that the monorail goes to, the one that's like, now everything there is either about Alana or Lilo and Stitch. If you go on the 2nd floor of the lobby, there's like a coffee house there, right? Back in the 80s, that was not an open air coffee house. That was a walled off restaurant that was called the Coral Isle Cafe. And they did a Hawaiian themed spaghetti that had it still had spaghetti sauce, but it had something in it that gave it more of a Hawaiian flair. And it came with one big, ginormous meatball, like this big, that was in the middle of the plate with the spaghetti wrapped around it. I mean, this meatball was like massive. That was the best spaghetti I've ever had in my life. It was epic. And now you can't get it because they closed that restaurant and turned it into a damn coffee house. But it was called the Coral Isle Cafe. And I loved it. We always had dinner there at least once while we were at Disney World, right up until they closed it. Broke my heart. And then their other big restaurant, which has always been called Ohana's, even before the Lilo and Stitch movie came out, as I recall, they have an awesome all-you-can-eat breakfast, right? But instead of it being a buffet, it's called family style. They bring it on this, the table has a big turnstile in the middle of the table, and they bring out this big pan that's got everything that you can have for breakfast in one pan, and they set it in the middle of the table. So you get like sausage links, sausage patties, bacon, scrambled eggs, pancakes, biscuits, Mickey waffles, like waffles that are shaped like the Mickey Mouse logo. You get all that stuff, and you can eat right up until they stop serving breakfast. As long as you've still got room for it, they'll just keep bringing it to your table. It's one of the best breakfasts, or at least the last time we were there, it was still there the last time we were there, which was 10, going on 11 years ago. But one of the best breakfasts you can have on property is at Ohana's at the Polynesian. But you can't get that spaghetti no more, and that sucks. Anyway. I like Zapp's chips dipped in. I don't think I've had Zapp's chips. Are you going to see Scream 7? Scream 1 is the only Scream worth watching. The rest of them suck. Have you bought Ninja Gaiden 4? Yes, we have Ninja Gaiden 4. I have not played it. It's up in 8th room. Scream should have ended at 3. Scream should have ended at 1 because it only makes sense through the first one. And then just, oh, this person was angry about what happened in the first one, so they started wearing the costume. It's stupid. It's just as stupid as the Saw movies continuing after Jigsaw died. It's just as stupid. When I first moved to the place I live now, I did not have a lot of groceries, so I came with what I had and came up with salami macaroni. So it's kind of a mac and cheese with hot dog slices. That's something that Eighth likes. He likes mac and cheese with hot dog slices. It's the only time he really cares anything about hot dogs. Do you like tomato ketchup crisps? No. No, sir. Or chips, sorry. No, that's all right. I mean, you're giving away your UK-ness a little bit there, but that's fine. It's chips, not fries. Y'all call fries chips, and you call chips crisps. You call cookies biscuits, and you serve biscuits cold and call them scones. You park in a car park instead of a parking lot. I mean, oh my goodness. I made salami macaroni with shell macaroni with salami wrapped with mozzarella and some dill weed and lemon juice. Did you like the new Final Destination? I never have liked the Final Destination movies anyway because, it's just fake Faces of Death. That's all Final Destination is. Of course, Faces of Death was fake too, but I'm saying it's fake death with a plot instead of fake deaths that are just a sequence of clips. I mean, some of them were real. Like there was some of the Faces of Death had stuff like a guy committing suicide by jumping off a building, stuff like that. So there were some legitimate clips in them, but for the most part, it was fake. Like the thing with the monkey was fake. But that's what Final Destination is to me. It's Faces of Death with a barely coherent plot. So I'm just not that into them. Did you see the He-Man beat 'em up game? Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. I want the physical though. Zapp's is the Popeyes of potato chips. Oh, I've never had them. Remember Fire and Ice by Ralph Bakshi? Yes, that's actually a good movie. I like that movie, and I like that 80s sci-fi one, Star Lancer or Star something. It's got a character in it that's like a complete ripoff of Han Solo, and he's got his C-3PO is like this hot chick robot that he bends over and spanks her and stuff, and yeah, I can't Star something. And it was an animated film. It wasn't a Ralph Bakshi movie, but it's fun if you like Star Wars type stuff. I just can't remember the full name of it. I'd like to have that one on physical, but I don't. English language, you gotta love it. Absolutely. Ever been to Cracker Barrel? Oh man, I practically grew up at Cracker Barrel because that was one of the two best places to get breakfast when you were traveling from Chattanooga down to Disney World, because there's Cracker Barrels everywhere. And of course, as a kid, I loved to walk around in the gift shop. Even though, my parents would never buy me anything there, I still loved walking around in the gift shop. And, we'd sit at the Cracker Barrel, and I'd sit and play with that stupid little puzzle they had there, waiting for my breakfast. But when we were driving down to Florida for our Disney vacation, we always stopped at one of two places for breakfast. And that was either Cracker Barrel or Shoney's, back when Shoney's was still a thing. Because Shoney's had the all-you-could-eat breakfast buffet. It was good eating. Have I ever been to England? I've been invited a couple of times, but I never went. I used to have a big fan of the show back in the day, and his screen name was Astute Class. And he was over in the UK, and we used to talk a lot. And, he invited me to come, not pay my way kind of thing, but hey, you should come over here and I'll show you the sights and blah, blah, blah. But I never did because I never had the money. Thoughts on Ghost in the Shell? The original animated film is great. Everything else, you can keep it. I like foot-long hot dogs with sauerkraut and mustard with a side of French fries and a strawberry milkshake. I love strawberry milkshakes. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite strawberry milkshakes. Coconut cream pie for dessert. Now you lost me a little bit there. The only kind of pie I like is chocolate cream pie. I don't even like apple pie, and I'm from the South. I don't like apple pie. I don't like pecan pie. I don't like peach cobbler. All I like is chocolate cream pie. Well, and poontang pie. I was a fan of that too. But yeah. Spaceballs, love Spaceballs. Star Chaser, that's the one. Star Chaser, love that movie. Zaps originated from Louisiana, had nothing to do with it being spicy. Okay. Favorite Beatles song? I was not a Beatles fan. Not a Beatles fan. Not my thing. Not my thing at all. My Beatles are the Descendants. Have not been to Cracker Barrel in 11 years, which was for either with visiting family. I had chicken with mashed potatoes and roasted carrots. My thing, if we had dinner at Cracker Barrels, I'd get the roast beef, or I'd get the chicken fried chicken, or the country fried steak. But mostly for us, Cracker Barrel was a breakfast thing. Getting dinner there was more rare. While my guitar gently weeps is mine. Well, I never was into Beatles. If I was gonna, I was more into the Who than I was ever in the Beatles, and even then, I didn't care for the Who until they got more into their '70s era. But I didn't like, My Generation. Yeah, I didn't like that era of the Who. I liked later Who. But I never was big on Beatles. I never was big on the Rolling Stones. You know, for me, 70s is late 70s to mid 70s is as far back as I go for the most part, except when it comes to stuff like Elvis or Jerry Lee Lewis or what have you. My Beatles was the Descendants and still is. Just is what it is. Pecan pie is my favorite. Pumpkin pie is my second. Yeah, I don't like pumpkin pie either. I don't like pumpkin in general. I'm not a fan of the flavor of pumpkin, and I'm not a fan of the texture of it. The texture of it doesn't do anything for me either. What can I say, yo? What can I say? Do you like Led Zeppelin? I like a couple of songs by Led Zeppelin. Love Me Tender by Elvis. What a song. My favorite Elvis song is called Let Me Be There. Let me be there in the morning. Let me be there in the night. That Elvis song. That's not my singing voice. I'm getting old and I'm losing my singing voice bit by bit. So I'm not going to belt that out in punk rock style because that's the only singing voice I really have, unless I'm clowning around and la 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 la, you know. But yeah, go on YouTube and look up an Elvis song called "Let Me Be There." It was on his Moody Blue album, and that's my all-time favorite Elvis song. What about Jimi Hendrix? I mean, there's some stuff by Jimi Hendrix I like, but again, just not a huge fan. Just not a huge fan. He's got one or two songs that I liked a lot. Couldn't even tell you the names of them now because it's been so long since I listened to them. But I remember one of them. One of the ones that I liked was actually when the original Sega CD came out. One of the things it came with was a CD plus G, which means CD plus graphics, and it had a bunch of songs on it, and one of them was a Jimi Hendrix song. I can't remember which one it was. I just remember really liking it on that little CD. I'm interested in seeing Baz Luhrmann's Elvis concert movie. I would like to see it too, but they say the best way to see it is in IMAX, and I don't live overly close to an IMAX theater. And I'm just not Voodoo Child. Oh yeah, Voodoo Child, Hollywood Hogan, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Did you see the sites? Like I love John Landis. I'm not sure I understand your question. Did you see the sites like us? I love John Landis. I'm not sure what you're asking there, bro. Man, I have finally gotten to the point where I'm showing my age. Look at that. I mean, still, the only wrinkles I have are the ones on my forehead, which I've had those. I already had those when I started YouTube. But those are the only wrinkles I had. Even my hands aren't wrinkled yet. But I'm starting to develop those middle-aged jowls. That's kind of showing my age. You know, these will probably go away when I get on the make me skinny pills, skinny shots. But you know, if you could do this, you know, get rid of it all, and I dyed all of this black, I wouldn't really look that much different than I did when I started YouTube, except the fact that gravity is making my upper lip longer. And so that gives you that, like, you know, 70s dad stash that middle-aged men get, you know? Oh, man. Spies Like Us. Yeah, that's a good movie. Would you gentlemen like a Pepsi? I like Spies Like Us. It's not my favorite, but I like it. I haven't seen it in a long time, though. I mean, the scene that I always remember the most was Chevy Chase trying to cheat on his exam, so he had like the fake arm in the sling and the little slides under his tongue and all that. And it has answers on his little eye patch and all. I thought that was funny. Anyway, we got 15 minutes left, folks. 15 minutes. We've had $19 in donations. Appreciate that. Thank you, fellas. Jude didn't show up tonight. Wonder what Jude's up to. She didn't show up tonight. Hi, Jude, in case you watch the replay. If you were a tight collar several months from now, your neck will need to be censored. If you wear a tight collar several months from now, your neck will need... Are you saying that I'm going to have vagina neck? Is that what you're saying? No, because I'm going to do face exercises so I don't have a whole lot of hanging stuff. I mean, I already have hanging stuff right here. See it? I just hide it with my beard so that you don't notice it as much. But, yeah, I'm going to do exercises. Exercise my face. Because, if I get Ozempic face or whatever, I'm not getting plastic surgery, guys. I don't care enough. I'll just look like a walking corpse. That's fine. I don't care. I just want to stay alive longer. I don't care what I look like. Give me a break. Gonna go to bed. Peace and love. Keep on trucking, sir. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you being a longtime fan. Appreciate it. Are you interested in Colin Moriarty's game Spear of Sacrilege? Haven't heard anything about it. Vanessa Angel was in that movie where she played the Soviet girl who fell in love with Dan Aykroyd in the movie. She was also in Kingpin. Well, she was pretty. She was a pretty girl. Won't you gentlemen have a Dos Pecky? All right, 8. All right. Saint Slayer, Spear of Sacrilege. Sorry. I don't know what you're referencing there, AKL Max. Saint Slayer, Spear of Sacrilege. Sorry. Oh, that's the name of the game. Never mind. I still don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about it. No, I don't. She's almost 60 now, but she don't look 60. Oh, kind of like Christy Brinkley? Holy shit. Have you seen Christy Brinkley yet, lately? I don't care if she spread her legs and dust sprayed out. I'm still in there. I'm still in there. Good God. Jerry Ryan, too. Don't care. Same thing with Diane Franklin. She's married now, and so I'm not going to lust after a married woman because, But still, if she wasn't married and she came to my door, take me 7th, I'm yours. I'm in there. I'm in there. Love Diane Franklin. I think I said Christine Franklin by mistake. I love Diane Franklin. I drink that old lady's bathwater. She was my childhood crush. I don't care if she was 75 years old. I'm in there. She was in a commercial for the remake of the 2015 movie Vaction. Vaction? I don't know that one. Is that another typo? 10 minutes left, folks. 10 minutes left. So get your questions in. Get your questions in. I got the gas coming out the other end. I'm having reverse magic powers tonight. What's that all about? I mean, vacation. Man, you can't type nothing right tonight. Show me some respect. I love vacation. I love vacation. I hate European vacation. And I love Christmas Vacation and Vegas Vacation. European Vacation, I even like the remake that had the chick from Married with Children, Kelly Bundy. I love the one with Kelly Bundy in it, the remake. Or, Legacy sequel. I love that one. But I hate European Vacation. It just doesn't feel anything like the others. The comedy is so different. The timing is so different. I just don't like that one at all. But I love the first one. Absolutely adore it. I grew up watching that movie. And in fact, that's probably one of the next ones that I'm going to buy physically is the original Vacation. But I do love Vegas Vacation. I know a lot of people don't. Well, I just love Cousin Eddie in that movie. Where can I get some damn bait? Or when he meets Wayne Newton, he's like, you need a bodyguard? I'd die for you. I actually used that line on Pixel Dan the last time I saw Pixel Dan. He was standing at his booth talking to Milvor, and I walked over to him. Oh my God, it's Pixel Dan. You need a bodyguard? I'd die for you. I don't think he even got the reference because he just laughed and said, okay. I don't think he got the reference. But Pixel Dan's a great guy, man. If you ever meet him in person, he's great. Susan Sarandon is still... I don't like Susan Sarandon as a person, though. Shannon Elizabeth is 52 and still got it. Yeah, I noticed that in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Sorry, took my kid out to dinner. Well, I was just saying, thank you for the hat. Appreciate you. Looks good on me, don't it? Randy Quaid's character. Well, Cousin Eddie is always funny, except for in Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure or whatnot. That movie sucks. That movie is not funny. And I'm pretty sure they filmed it in the same place that they filmed Gilligan's Island. I can't swear by it, but I'm fairly sure. I'll take some of the yellow and don't go cheap on me. Yeah. Randy Quaid is great. Cousin Eddie, man. Cousin Eddie. Well, I had to sell the worm farm. Have you ever noticed, if you watch that scene in Christmas Vacation, where they're in like a Walmart or something, and they're walking towards the camera, and it's the whole bit where Randy is giving his sob story to con Chevy Clark into paying for Christmas gifts for his kids. Through that whole scene, if you pay attention, he's got like a dick this long that's bulging down like one side of one of the legs of those leisure suit pants that he's wearing. And so through that whole scene, you've got this cucumber length thing poking out, and eventually he reaches down and like adjusts it and stuff to try to point your attention to it. But I have pointed that out to numerous people who've seen that movie 1,000 times, and they've never picked up the fact that he's packing a tree trunk down there. But it explains why, Clark's wife's cousin married him. I like the scene where he empties the trailer into the gutter. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Cheddar was full. Pickle Gazer. Look, you could not... I don't see how anyone could not see it, but it surprises me how many people have not noticed that. Because it's so ridiculous. And they actually kind of reference it in the Legacy sequel with Christina Applegate. That's her name. Because, of course, Chris Hemsworth is in that movie playing like her ex-boyfriend or something, and he does the same thing. He's got this tree trunk down there, and he keeps like posing to make them have to look at it and stuff, and he's like adjusting it and crap. So they referenced it with him. What an odd time to join the stream. Yeah, I guess so, with 5 minutes left. Save the neck for me, Clark. I like with the the green Jello that has the cat food on it, and he's like, I don't know what it is, but it's good. What are you crying for? That sucker had 9 lives. He just spent them all. Oh, God. You ready to do some kissing? Merry Christmas, Clark. I like the meltdown Clark has in Christmas Vacation when he didn't get his bonus. Yeah, I've been joking around with my family, with Eighth, and even when I've talked to like my cousin on the phone, because normally I would have already found out how much I was going to get on my bonus this year, but they didn't inform us how much it was going to be, just when the check was going to arrive. So I've joked around with Eighth and my cousins, telling them that it's going to end up being a years long subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club. I made the same joke to my boss, but he didn't get it because he's a Canadian that's originally from Africa, so he doesn't get Christmas Vacation humor. He's a funny dude. One of my best friends. He's a cool guy, but I only get to see him every now and again for when he flies in for like big corporate meetings and stuff like that. So don't get to see him very often, but I actually helped train him when he was a noob when he came in, and because of certain circumstances that occurred, he ended up being my boss. So it's a fun situation, though. It's a fun situation. I very much enjoy not so much some of the work that I have to do because it's very grindy, but I enjoy the people that I work with very much, and especially because of him. But yeah. That scene where Clark has his meltdown, he was having trouble remembering his lines, so all the characters that are standing in front of him, all the actors, they have his beats on little signs around their necks. So that's why his eyes are darting around when he's doing that, because he's reading the crap off of their necks so he could remember it all. Wow, I just wasted a bunch of money in an overpriced restaurant with small portions. Time to fill up on a $1.69 large McDonald's fry. Don't you hate that? You pay big price. Like the last time I was at Applebee's, I felt that way because I ordered what I wanted and it came out and it was just it looked like one of those, like going to a California restaurant where you get like little tiny things that's just enough to get the flavor of it on your tongue. That's what Applebee's has turned into. That's why I don't go there anymore. I'd much rather go to like Ruby Tuesdays than an Applebee's. Or a Logan Steakhouse, or a Texas Roadhouse, whatever. But not I've lost my taste for Applebee's because of that same reason right there. Thoughts on Hollow Knight? I'm replaying it since the PS5 version came out. I mean, I liked it. I'm a fan of Metroidvanias. I don't like having to do all the blocking and dodging so much because, that makes it feel more like kind of like a faster moving Blasphemous. But I beat it. I didn't plat it, but I beat it. I haven't played the second one, though. I haven't played Silksong. Anyway, we got 2 minutes left. 2 minute. 2 minute. Actually, 1 minute because it just turned. So if you got any last minute questions, Bert, I think I've got time for one more. Has anyone got one more question? No? Anyone? Bueller? Sirloin steak rare with a loaded baked potato and a corn on the cob with a cherry 7-Up and a pie for dessert's my favorite meal. I prefer medium, not rare. I liked it to be a little bit grislier than what you like. I like it medium. Don't like it rare. But I do love a loaded baked potato and I do love corn on the cob. I do love cherry 7-Up, but I'm not a big pie person. Looking forward to your thoughts on Greedfall 2. Well, that's, when I can afford to buy it. Hasn't even come out yet. You got to give me time. You got to give me time to get the money to buy it. You got to give me time to play it. But I'll definitely tell you about it. And that being said, it is now 9 o'clock. Thank you for the $19 in donations. Appreciate you. Again, that's going to be going towards improving the channel because I'm starting to have a really hate-hate relationship with this Logitech Brio camera. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look how pixelated this is. It's not all that great quality-wise. I want to get a better camera. And so that money that y'all have donated over the past 2 weeks, that's going towards getting a better camera. So I appreciate y'all. Be thinking about the questions you want to ask me for next week. And I will see y'all then. Same 7th time, same 7th channel.